Chapter 2208. Lee Tianyun felt he was innocent. He had been staying there, but he had been picked to cause trouble. Fortunately, that guy had never seen him and did not know who he was. Otherwise, he would have come to cause trouble for him. He pretended he did not know anything and looked over there casually. I don't see anyone better than me. Maybe he doesn't have the guts to come here. Zhu Xing snorted and said, even if he has a unique star dharma, if he is not a grand star venerable, he is just picking up trash in the periphery. This was the world of grand star venerables. Even if he did not have a grand star venerable cultivation, he would have a strong backer. In his opinion, someone born on the desolate dragon planet could not have a strong backer. There were basically no grand star venerables on the desolate dragon planet. Even if there were, there would only be one or two. I predicted he would come. He must be nearby. And his cultivation is not weak. Jing Xan added fuel to the fire. She continued to provoke Zhu Xing, as if she was afraid of something else. Where is he? Zhu Xing was enraged. He looked like he wanted to fight. Even if he looked like a good-for-nothing, he was still capable. I'm not sure about that. I've only divined that he's here. As for where he is, I can't divine it, Jing Xian said indifferently. If I really had to choose, I would only choose him, not you. Of course, that is because I have no other choice. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk to anyone in my current state. Zhu Xing flew into a rage. He said angrily, Good. I hope he will not disappoint me. I want to see how capable the trash of the desolate dragon planet is. Zhu Xing did not mention what Jing Xian had said. He considered Yi Tianyun his rival in love. In his opinion, Jing Xian was only interested in Yi Tianyun, not him. No one could stop this kind of genius who was too full of himself. Lunatic. Yi Tianyun, who is listening on the side, wants to hit someone. Jing Xian obviously didn't mean that. She just wanted to say that she would not choose a scumbag like Zhu Xing even if she had to choose herself. And this was based on the fact that she had no choice. If she had a choice, she didn't want to choose anyone. However, Zhu Xing had already determined that Yi Tianyun was his love rival. As long as he got rid of him, Jing Xian would have no other choice. After Jing Xian heard that, she shook her head repeatedly, too lazy to pay attention to him. She was just giving an example, but Zhu Xing was blinded by it. The elders of the two clans didn't say much. They didn't care about the geniuses of the desolate dragon star anyway. Anyway, no matter how much of a genius he was, how strong could he be? Sometimes, a person's starting point was already destined to be low. With a unique star dharma idol, it would be impossible for it to grow without a huge amount of resources to nurture it. Perhaps he had already passed the best period of nurturing, so they had even less interest in recruiting him. Yi Tianyun was watching from the side. When Tianyueming saw the two families, he revealed some fear. These two families were relatively top-notch existences on Scarlet Moonstar. They could be said to be among the best. The other side had 6 or 7 grand star venerables. He was a lot stronger than them. That alone was enough to make them cautious. Brother Yunlong, do you see those two families? They are the Zhu family and the Su family. They are among the best clans on Scarlet Moonstar. They are equally strong. They also have 2 geniuses with unique star dharma idols. Please be careful in the purple gold divinity pavilion. Don't provoke them, Tianyueming and the others reminded him. They didn't care about Yi Tianyun's life. They just didn't want Yi Tianyun to provoke the two families. It would be terrible if he brought them trouble. After all, they were on the same side. If something happened, would the Zhu family and the Su family believe them if they said they didn't have any cooperation with Yi Tianyun? Don't worry. I will pay attention to that. Yi Tianyun smiled. He knew what they were thinking. Rumble. At that moment, the purple gold divinity pavilion suddenly shook violently. Soon, golden lights shot out of the wall-like pavilion and scattered in all directions. Yi Tianyun glanced around. He knew the purple gold divinity pavilion was scattering treasures again. He saw many galaxy-grade treasures and elixirs scattered in all directions. The Grand Star Venerables were indifferent, but the families of the smaller factions in the distance started fighting over the treasures. Under such circumstances, It was better to fight over the treasures, but not to the point where they would fight to the death. The purple gold divinity pavilion would appear for a long time. During this time, it would scatter many treasures. The treasures would belong to whoever got them first. They wouldn't rush over to fight over them. Unless, of course, the treasure that was dropped was something that defied the natural order. Besides, if they were really heaven-defying, they wouldn't be the ones to get them. The big families would rush over to fight over them. Normally, heaven-defying treasures wouldn't drop. The truly heaven-defying treasures were inside the purple gold divinity pavilion. The gate is about to open, someone said. Then, a gate of light slowly opened in the center of the purple gold divinity pavilion. It could even be said that this wall-like divine pavilion had a huge gate of light forcibly opened. There was no need to worry about not being able to squeeze through the huge gate of light. It could easily accommodate millions of people at the same time. All the powerhouses started moving the moment the gate opened. Even Zhu Xing, who had been frivolous, became serious. Let's go. Don't split up. Tian Yueming and the others moved quickly and led their people in. The two big families worked together. Yi Tianyun followed them and rushed in. In the blink of an eye, all the experts in this region rushed into the light door. There were many experts here, but in an instant, they were all cleared out, turning into an empty space. Not even footprints could be seen. If someone hadn't seen them go in, they would have thought that no one had been here. The other families didn't move. They didn't plan to go in either. That was the territory of the big families. It had nothing to do with them. Elder, why don't we follow them in secretly? Even if we don't get any precious treasures, we might get some leftovers. Don't think too much. In the past, there were many clans that went in, but none of them came out. The danger inside is not something you can imagine. We should just stay here. The elder scolded his disciple and warned him not to act recklessly. All the disciples shrunk their necks, not daring to have any more thoughts. At this moment, two figures turned into two beams of light and flew into the gate of light quickly. Elder, two people went in. That's Lord Grand Star Venerable. They all looked in that direction enviously. Only Grand Star Venerables could go in. Chapter 2209. After Yi Tianyun and the rest entered the light door, they saw a layered structure in the blink of an eye. There were houses in all directions. When they looked up at the sky, they realized that the houses were upside down. As for the houses on the left and right sides, they were horizontal and looked rather peculiar. The most important thing was that these houses had not collapsed. Although they could also achieve such a peculiar structure, what was the point of doing so? After all, the houses above and on the left and right sides were uninhabitable. The houses were either upside down or slanted. It looked like an upside-down world. Such a peculiar structure opened Yi Tianyun's eyes. He did not expect the interior of the purple gold divinity pavilion to look like this. He thought that it would be similar to the other shrines with all sorts of passageways. However, the reality was that the houses were upside down. Not to mention Yi Tianyun, even the rest had a strange look on their faces. Obviously, they had never seen such a situation before. They had entered the purple gold divinity pavilion more than once. However, this was definitely the first time they had encountered such a situation. This is really peculiar. The purple gold divinity pavilion has changed. It was not like this before. Everything looked quite normal. Now, the houses are slanted and the structure is completely different. Tian Yueming frowned. It seemed that everything was beyond his expectations. Originally, as a pioneer, there would definitely be benefits for him. After all, if they knew the situation here in advance, they would be able to get ahead of the other families and head to areas that they could not go to previously. This way, they would be able to find treasures quickly. However, it was different now. Both the structure and the appearance had changed tremendously. Their previous plans had gone up in smoke. To think that they had planned so meticulously. They believed that more than one family would have made detailed plans. For example, it was useless to know which area to head to immediately after entering. In front of them was a brand new scene. They had to adapt to the environment again. If that's the case, we'll have to explore again. Mu Jiefeng frowned. They had been here before. Initially, they thought that the two families could work together to break through the deepest area. Now, it seemed that they were too naive. The Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion was not an easy place to live. Lee Dun-yun rubbed his chin at the side as he observed the situation of the surrounding cultivators. Most of them were in the same state as Tian Yueming and the rest, looking dumbfounded. Those who hadn't entered didn't have much of a reaction, but those who had entered were all dumbfounded. It doesn't matter if we have to explore again. Anyway, the others are the same as us. They don't know anything. Lee Tianyun smiled. Since the starting line was the same, it really depended on their own abilities. That's true. Let's start exploring now. Now, we will split into several groups and quickly explore the surroundings. No one knows what kind of treasures or secret passages are in the houses here. Tian Yueming quickly made a plan and divided them into groups. Yi Tianyun and Tian Xingfeng were in the same group. Frankly speaking, Tian Xingfeng was to keep an eye on Yi Tianyun. Originally, he wanted to let Yi Tianyun explore some unknown dangers. Now that they didn't know where they were, they could only split up and explore. Keep an eye on him. Don't let him escape. If there's anything wrong, you can deal with it as you see fit. Before leaving, Tian Yueming sent a voice transmission to Tian Xingfeng. Tian Xingfeng nodded, indicating that he understood. Go this way. Tian Xingfeng ordered Yi Tianyun. Then, he took the initiative to bring Yi Tianyun to one of the areas. He didn't discuss anything with Yi Tianyun. Tian Xingfeng didn't have a good impression of Yi Tianyun. If it wasn't for the plan, he would have fought with Yi Tianyun. Previously, Tian Xingfeng had threatened him. How could he have a good impression of Yi Tianyun? Yi Tianyun didn't say much and followed Tian Xingfeng to search. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't make a move. Tian Xingfeng brought him straight into a decent-looking house. The decorations inside were quite luxurious and were made of various precious ores. These materials could be used to create galaxy-grade treasures. However, they could be found everywhere here. No wonder piles of galaxy-grade treasures were often thrown out. The furniture here were all made of materials that could be used to create galaxy-grade treasures. One could imagine how easy it was to throw treasures out. In this place, galaxy-grade treasures were considered unimportant. Hence, they could be casually thrown out. The cultivators outside treated them as their clan's treasures. However, in here, they were just like furniture. The gap between them was truly too great. This is indeed the almighty divine pavilion. There are so many treasures here. Yi Tianyun glanced around. Other than the piles of furniture, there wasn't anything special. Tian Xingfeng only glanced around and continued to fly to the next place with Yi Tianyun. Although the materials were decent, they weren't enough for him. They had seen better ones. They wouldn't give up on watermelons for a few sesame seeds. A star venerable grade treasure was equivalent to thousands of galaxy-grade treasures. Moreover, it was the lowest grade star venerable grade treasure. Hence, their main target was the star venerable grade treasures, not the galaxy-grade treasures. If they kept plundering these treasures, and someone else got a star venerable grade treasure, it would be a great loss for them. Although there were so many materials for furniture here, and many galaxy-grade treasures could be created, their power was not as great as a star venerable grade treasure. Even 10,000 galaxy-grade treasures couldn't compare to a star venerable grade treasure. This was a matter of quality, not quantity. Yi Tianyun followed them silently. Tian Xingfeng took the lead and swept through the houses at a shocking speed. The rest of the cultivators were more or less the same, rushing all the way. Some of them were searching for treasures, while others were like Tian Xingfeng and the others, searching for other treasures or special passageways. Looking from the outside, there were piles of houses. No special passageways could be seen. That was the reason why they kept shuttling back and forth between so many houses to search. Since they couldn't go deep, they could only search through the houses to find out what was going on inside. Nothing, still nothing. Keep searching. Tian Xingfeng was a little annoyed. Their plan was ruined, and they kept searching. It was really annoying. Chapter 22:10. After searching for a while, Tianyun and the others did not find any passageways, nor did they find any treasures. Soon, they shifted their target to the houses above, to see if there was anything special about the houses above. After they went up, they immediately felt a special gravitational force, which fiercely twisted them, causing them to stand upside down in the air. At this time, when they looked up, the place they were searching before had become the buildings above them. There is such a trick? Tianyun was a little surprised. He thought that after coming over, they would need to fly into the houses upside down. Every time they searched in the houses, it was like they had to fly over a wall, find the door first, and then fly over. Who knew that when they came over, they would find that it was a little different. When they came over, there would be a special force that would flip them over, making them stand upright. The original feeling of being upside down suddenly became upright. Such a strange structure shocked Tianyun. Such a structure could save a lot of space, which meant that there could be a lot of houses in a range, which could save a lot of space. It was just that there were too many empty spaces in this area. Generally speaking, people would not do this. No one wanted to have a pile of houses above their heads. They hoped to see the blue sky and white clouds, or to be able to see the star aspect in the star domain, which was the most beautiful. After being stunned for a moment, Tian Shengfeng continued to search quickly. These were quite strange, but that was all. To be able to do this, the principle was relatively simple. There was a large formation under their feet, which could change the state of gravity, allowing them to flip over. The difficulty was not high. The main point was what it meant. This was what puzzled them. Because they did not know what the other party's trick was, they could only bite the bullet and continue to search, but no matter how they searched, they could not find any clues. It was like an empty city. There was not a single person inside, only piles of houses. It could be said that all the cultivators were in a predicament. They could not find the passageway, nor could they find the treasures. What the hell? There is nothing, just piles of broken houses. Tian Shengfeng was a bit hot-tempered. After searching a large area, he felt very impatient. They all wanted to go straight to the simple and violent places. For example, there would be a direct passage, or some relatively dangerous areas. These would at least give them some clues. However, there was nothing here, just piles of empty houses, which made them feel quite disgusted. Along the way, they even met up with Tian Yueming and the others to exchange information. In general, they were the same as them. They couldn't find the passageway or any treasures, so they just wandered around blindly. Tianyun's eyes flickered. There seemed to be some special meaning behind this. It was impossible for the master of the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion to set up so many houses here. Is there some kind of maze here? Tianyun asked casually. Maze? Tian Shengfeng was startled and immediately fell into deep thought. A maze array was not the kind that was filled with fog and could not be seen clearly. As long as it was something that people couldn't locate or find the entrance to, it would be a maze. It was not necessary to make people dizzy in order to be considered a maze. Then tell me, how do we solve it? Tian Shengfeng thought for a while and threw the question back to Tianyun. I'm not too sure either. It's just a guess. Why don't we gather the other elders to discuss it? Maybe we can come up with a plan. Tianyun's expression was indifferent. Even if he knew, he wouldn't say it immediately. It was impossible for him to give them such a huge advantage for nothing. I thought you knew. What a waste of time. Tian Shengfeng's eyes were filled with disdain. He really thought that Tianyun knew. He didn't stop and gathered Tian Yueming and the others. He agreed with Tianyun's words. It was pointless to continue searching like crazy. If it was hidden in these empty houses, they would have found it long ago. Or rather, other cultivators would have found it. They wouldn't be wandering around blindly. What's wrong? Did you find any traces? Tian Yueming and the others gathered quickly. When they came, their eyes lingered on Tianyun for a while, wanting to see what he was doing. No. Brother Yunlong said that this might be a maze. If we don't break this maze, I'm afraid we won't be able to find the real passage. Tian Shengfeng said honestly. Maze? They looked at each other. After thinking for a while, Tian Yueming said thoughtfully, I've thought about this before. At the same time, I've also investigated, but I didn't find anything. You mean there's no maze? Tian Xingfeng turned to look at Yi Tianyun. His eyes were filled with disdain. Brother Yunlong, didn't you say there's a maze? You're just making a guess. That's too casual. I don't know what special ability you have. You can't just join us without doing anything. I'm just guessing that there's a maze. I didn't say that there's a maze. Yi Tianyun looked at him indifferently. Tian Xingfeng's attitude towards him was getting worse. Yes, it's just a guess. But it's too casual. The great elder said there's no maze here. You're just overthinking it. Tian Xingfeng sneered. Tian Yueming and the others did not say anything. If it were any other great star venerable, they would have already flown into a rage. However, they tacitly agreed to it, which meant they didn't take Yi Tianyun seriously. Elder Tian Xingfeng, do you have any opinion? Yi Tianyun asked back. I don't have any opinion. The great formation set up by the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion's master can't be broken so easily. But I won't come to a conclusion so that there won't be any misunderstanding, Tian Xingfeng said sarcastically. So you don't have any opinion? If you don't have any opinion and can't help with anything, then why did you come here? Yi Tianyun replied calmly. Nonsense. What do you mean I can't help with anything? At least I'm more capable than you are. Tian Xingfeng was so angry that he laughed. All right, this isn't the time to quarrel. Tian Yueming extended his hand to stop him. He frowned and said, Brother Yunlong, what kind of ability do you have? If you just join us and don't show some of your ability, won't it be a little embarrassing? Originally, their attitude towards Yi Tianyun had been good, at least on the surface. But now, their attitude had become bad. The reason for this was simple. The plan had changed. They had thought the area would remain the same. So, they would let Yi Tianyun be cannon fodder to explore the way for them. But it was different now. They didn't need to explore the way. They were trapped here. Chapter 22:11. Do I have to show my abilities here? What if I say that my abilities are mainly related to fighting? Wouldn't it be too much to ask me to look for the formation? Yi Tianyun had great attainments as an astral inscription master, but he did not admit it. There was no need to admit it. It was better to hide some things. Fighting. Tian Xingfeng said with a cold smile, this is the most basic ability. If you don't even have this basic ability, you are even more useless. What we need to do now is to break out of this place, not to fight. What about Elder Tian Xingfeng? What ability do you have? Yi Tianyun looked at Tian Xingfeng and said calmly, what does this have to do with my ability? We are talking about your ability. We will naturally look for the exit slowly. As for you, you must show some ability. Otherwise, you will not be qualified to join us. Tian Xingfeng had been unhappy with Yi Tianyun for a long time. Now that Tian Yueming had spoken, he was even more straightforward. In their opinion, they did not want to get rid of Yi Tianyun. They just wanted to force Yi Tianyun. They can't let Yi Tianyun have it too easy. It's too easy for Yi Tianyun to go in with them without paying anything. It's too easy for him. They were not afraid that Yi Tianyun would leave. What power could he have if he was alone? Facing so many great star venerables, even if he had a peerless treasure, he would not be able to snatch it from them. Therefore, they believed that Yi Tianyun would not leave and would only cling to their thick thighs. You mean that if I don't find some clues, I will not be able to continue with you? Yi Tianyun's face turned cold. They had spoken so nicely before, but they turned hostile in the blink of an eye. This is really fast. They are not afraid of Yi Tianyun. They think that Yi Tianyun will not leave them. Without any background, what kind of storm could he set off? Yes, Tian Yueming answered concisely. In that case, I will leave, Yi Tianyun said calmly. At first, they wanted to make use of the Tian family, but now it seems that they chose to abandon them. Seeing that there was no danger here, he began to threaten them with something else. They didn't want things to go out of their control. Either he obeyed or he chose to leave. Yi Tianyun chose to leave instead of staying with them. Tian Yueming and the others were startled for a moment before their faces turned cold. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun would reject them so decisively. He didn't even think about it. This was beyond their expectations. They thought that even if Tianyun was unhappy, he wouldn't choose to leave them. But now they were wrong. How could Tianyun not leave them? Moreover, he left very decisively. Brother Yunlong, won't you consider it? Tian Yueming's face was gloomy to the extreme. He did not wish to see such an outcome, especially those who disobeyed him. At this moment, two familiar figures appeared beside him. When Tian Yueming and the others saw them, their faces changed. Tian Yueming was even more agitated. He quickly shouted in that direction, "You too, stop right there." The two people in front of them were none other than Tian Yuan and Tian Xinhuan. Tianyun also saw them. He didn't expect to see them here. Now, if he were to join forces with them, it would be a very good choice. Not only were they trustworthy, but they were also quite strong. It would be a good idea to work together. However, he didn't know how the two of them would deal with family matters. Its father, Tian Xinhuan and the others' faces changed slightly, but they didn't panic. The two of them had already recovered their strength. In fact, they had even made greater progress than before. Tian Yuan had even broken through to the intermediate star venerate realm. With such strength, they wouldn't feel any fear even if they faced Tian Yueming and the others. Even if they couldn't defeat them, they would still be able to escape with their strength. Moreover, they had expected to see Tian Yueming here. Most families would come when the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion opened. As a powerful family, the Tian family would definitely choose to come. The two of you finally showed up. I thought you would choose to hide for the rest of your lives. Tian Yueming and the others flew over and stared at Tian Xinhuan. You are the most insensible one. Come back with me. Tian Yueming didn't ask Tian Yuan to go back. In his opinion, he only wanted Tian Xinhuan to go back with him. Tian Kuangyue gritted his teeth as he watched from the side, but he didn't say anything. Since Tian Yueming was talking, he naturally couldn't interrupt. I'm not going back. Tian Xinhuan shook his head and refused. It's good outside. I don't want to go back. There's no point in staying in the Tian family. If I didn't go out with my brother, I wouldn't know if I could cultivate like this. After carefully comprehending it, my cultivation improved. It's much better than staying in the Tian family. This was a direct slap in the face. Tian Kuangyue had previously said that they were useless outside and that they could only improve by staying in the family. Now, Tian Xinhuan was slapping Tian Kuangyue in the face. Tian Kuangyue's face darkened. He couldn't help but say sternly, Xinhuan, it's better outside than in the family? What a joke. Let me see how much progress you've made over the years. Tian Kuangyue's energy surged. He wanted to fight with Tian Xinhuan immediately. He wanted to wake her up. Nonsense. Tian Yueming extended his hand to grab her. He said angrily, Go back with me. Tian Xinhuan stepped back quickly. At the same time, Tian Yuan stepped forward and blocked Tian Yueming's way. He said calmly, Elder Tian Yuem, Tian Xinhuan said she doesn't want to go back. Why do you insist? How dare you stop me? Tian Yueming was so infuriated that he laughed. He said, I won't argue with you for the moment. The Tian family has paid a great price to nurture Tian Xinhuan. It's really ungrateful of her to leave like this. She didn't pay anything or do anything for the family. Do you think it's right for her to leave like this? I'll always remember the Tian family's nurturing of me. If there's a price, we'll pay it. If we can get a star venerable level treasure from the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion, we'll offer it to you as the price for nurturing me all these years. Tears welled up in Tian Xinhuan's eyes. She hadn't expected her father to say such a thing. She just didn't want to go back. She didn't really want to leave the Tian family. However, her father had started to make things clear. How could she not feel sad? It's impossible for you to leave with such a price. Tian Yueming said angrily, Do you think a star venerable level treasure can make up for it? That's impossible. If you really want to give it to me, I want at least 3. 3 it is. As long as we find it, we'll offer it to you. Then Tian Xinhuan will sever all ties with the Tian family, just like I did in the past. Tian Yuan said coldly, Elder Tian Yueming, it seems you're still so heartless after so many years. You only know how to calculate everything based on benefits. Chapter 22:12. Tian Yuan and Tian Xinghuan were extremely disappointed with the Tian family. Everything was based on benefits. Even family ties could be calculated. That was what they hated the most. Tian Yuan had left because he was unhappy with the Tian family's behavior. Tian Yueming was not trying to annoy them. It was true. If they had offered 3-star venerable level treasures, they would have let it go. 3-star venerable level treasures could indeed be used to train a grand star venerable, and there would even be some left over. Actually, one would have been enough. Star venerable level treasures were precious. Grand star venerables were precious, but they could still be trained. However, no one on the Red Moon planet could build star venerable level treasures. As a result, star venerable level treasures were very precious. They were at least more precious than grand star venerables. For example, among the hundreds of star venerables present, the number of people who had star venerable level treasures could be counted on one hand. That was enough to show how precious star venerable level treasures were. They could not be found easily. Now that he had asked for 3-star venerable level treasures, it was really an exorbitant demand. At most, he would be benevolent enough to give him 2. As for giving him 3, that was really asking for too much. More importantly, Tian Yuan had agreed. In this way, he had to bear the debt of 3-star venerable level treasures. This wasn't because Tian Yuan was stupid, but because they had taken care of the heavenly star ring so well, which was why he had said this. If that wasn't the case, he really couldn't be bothered to deal with it. He also knew it was not easy to train a grand star venerable. Moreover, it was his sister. He had to look for her carefully. 3-star venerable level treasures? Do you think they are cabbages that you can just give away? Tian Yueming said with a cold smile, if you really want to take her away, give me the 3-star venerable level treasures first. As for now, Tian Xinghuan must go with me. Tian Yueming's energy soared. He was ready to snatch her away. You want to use force? Tian Yuan's energy also soared. The star Dharma idol behind him surged. He was not afraid of a fight. Tian Xinghuan also exerted the star Dharma idol, but she had a complicated look in her eyes. After all, it was her father. No matter how heartless and wrong he was the father who had trained her. Even so, she still decided to resist. She really did not want to go back. You too want to resist? Tian Yueming and the others stood out with cold faces. There were as many as 5 grand star venerables. This was the Tian family's strength. They still had 5 grand star venerables. In total, there would be 7 great star venerables. One had to admit that the Tian clan was really heaven-defying. Even if the Mu clan did not participate, the 5 grand star venerables would be enough to deal with many things. The faces of Tian Yuan and the others sank. Facing 5 great star venerables, they could only choose to flee. Tian Yueming and Tian Yueming and Xing family. However, the Yueming Tian had Yueming family, the Yueming had wanted to Tian, they could not resist. Tian on Yuehua, they had come here. The Yueming on Tian Yudo go with Tian. Tian Yueming. Yueming on Tian Yueming on Yueming was to be to Tian. Tian with Tian. Tian Yun did not like them. Since Tian Yueming and Tian Yueming had come, he decided to join them. Brother Yunlong, are you going to oppose us? Tian Yueming looked sullen. They had never thought Tian Yun would choose to stand on Tian Yueming's side. This was their family's business. As an outsider, Tian Yun did not need to get involved. If a fight broke out, the Mu family would not help. First of all, this had nothing to do with them. Secondly, no matter how they helped, there would be problems. The best way was to not get involved. However, as an outsider, Tian Yun, he got involved, which made them very unhappy. They thought Tian Yun had done it on purpose. He only chose to take revenge because they had mocked Tian Yun and rejected him. Tian Yueming and the others were dumbfounded. They wondered if they had heard wrong. Why would an outsider choose to help them? Did he have bad intentions? Tian Yun's face was covered by energy. Only a vague outline could be seen. Normally, This would be very disrespectful. However, since he had done it, no one said anything. Tian Yueming and the others could recognize him only because they sensed his aura and knew he was someone they knew. My friend. When Tian Yueming was about to say something, Tianyun sent him a voice transmission. Senior Tian Yueming, it's me. Tianyun's familiar voice came. Tian Yueming was stunned. How could he forget this voice? The next second, he realized who the person in front of him was. When he realized what was going on, he was dumbfounded. How long had it been? Tianyun had already become a Grand Star Venerable? He seemed to be at the same level as them. This was even more shocking. They, who had reached the Grand Star Venerable realm, knew how much time and resources were needed to break through. However, Tianyun had succeeded in breaking through. This really scared them. Don't say anything. Just pretend you don't know me, Tianyun explained quickly. Tian Yueming was not a fool. He quickly understood what he meant. Thank you for your help, my friend. I will definitely repay you later. Tian Yueming quickly changed his words. This kid had 3 Grand Star Venerables. There would still be a gap between them and the 5 of them, but the situation would be different. 5 against 3. As long as they did not put their lives on the line, it would be hard to say who would win. It would not be like 5 against 2 like before. It would be much easier to deal with each other. Brother Yunlong, it seems like you are deliberately making things difficult for us. Tian Yueming and the others had unsightly expressions. So what? Tianyun was not afraid of falling out with them. He was not afraid at all. It looked like they were going to fight anyway. Since that was the case, he might as well make the matter bigger. It would be safer that way. Now, it's 5 against 3. There are many experts from other factions around. Who do you think will benefit if we really fight? Tianyun threatened them from the side. He looked around. Quite a number of cultivators cast their gazes over, wanting to see what was going on. Tian Yueming and the others had unsightly expressions. They were not fools. They knew what Tianyun was trying to say. If they were too impulsive and ended up injuring both sides, how would they look for treasures in the future? Chapter 22:13. Tianyun doesn't want to fight with them head-on, so he doesn't want to fight with them. It was not because he was afraid of anything, but a fight here would do no one any good. He might be able to hold on, because he was not afraid of death. But Tian Yuan and the others were different. If they were seriously injured, it would be a serious problem, which would affect the situation later. Not only that, but what he was most worried about was the aureole behind him. It would be troublesome if someone else were to profit from it. Great. Brother Yunlong, I didn't expect you to be a fence-sitter. You are really blind. Tian Yueming gnashed his teeth. He had been threatened, but he had to swallow his anger and humiliate him. If it had been any other time, he would not have had such concerns. He would have started the fight directly. If he had used all kinds of treasures, he would have been able to suppress the 3 of them. But he could not do it here. Even if he could suppress the 3 of them, they would have to expose their trump cards. It was obviously not worth it. After all, for them, the treasures in the purple gold divine pavilion were the most important, not the 3 of them. Fence-sitter? Tianyun said with a faint smile, I don't know who was so aggressive just now. Even if you are not a fence-sitter, you will be forced to be one. Everything was fine. We didn't make such a declaration before we came here. But you went back on your word as soon as we came here. Tianyun's sarcasm is that they don't keep their word. We just want you to prove whether you are capable of staying in our team. Tian Yueming retorted sharply, but you don't want to prove yourself. Why are you slandering us? Alright, I don't want to talk to you anymore. We still have to look for treasures. It is meaningless to talk nonsense with you here. Tianyun waved his hand. He was not in the mood to talk to them anymore. Tian Yueming was irritated, but he could not do anything. He stared at Tian Yuan and the others and said, 1-star venerable treasure. Give it to me before the purple gold divine pavilion closes. Otherwise, Celestial Ring will have to leave with me. Father, you're asking too much. It would be good if 2 or 3 treasures could be found in the purple gold divine pavilion. Now you want 1. Aren't you asking too much? Celestial Ring was irritated. Every time the violet gold divine pavilion appeared, it would be pretty good if there were 2 or 3 of them. Now that Tian Yueming had asked for 1 before coming out, what was he to do? Didn't he say that he could give me 3? I asked him to give me 1 before the violet gold divine pavilion closes. Is there a problem? I can slowly give you the other 2 in the future, but before the violet gold divine pavilion closes, you must hand over 1 of them. Otherwise, you will have to leave with me. If you take 1 out, you will be considered half free. When Tian Yueming said these words, he did not show any emotion at all. He really treated the heavenly star ring as a commodity. No problem, 1 is 1. However, Starlink isn't a commodity. Even if I can't find 1 in the purple gold divine pavilion, I'll find 1 for you. Tian Yuyuan did not refute and agreed immediately. His eyes were filled with coldness as he looked at Tian Yueming without any emotion. It was as if the person in front of him was not his biological father at all, but a stranger. All right, it's a deal. After Tian Yueming finished speaking, he flew to the side with his men. He didn't want to stay with them any longer in case he couldn't suppress his anger. Great Elder, are we leaving just like that? Tian Shengfeng and the others were somewhat unwilling. Not only did Tian Yun annoy them, but the appearance of Tian Yuyuan and his men also annoyed them. Tian Kuangyue in particular wished that he could go and capture Heavenly Star Ring. He liked Heavenly Star Ring very much. Seeing Heavenly Star Ring leave the Tian family just like that made him very sad. What else can we do? Is it a good thing to expose all our trump cards? Tian Yueming's eyes were cold as he looked ahead. Let's talk about this after this is over. Do you think they can escape from our palms? When the time comes, not only will we have to hand over the treasures, but we will also have to leave them behind. Tian Yueming couldn't let Heavenly Star Ring leave, and he couldn't let Tian Yun slip away either. He had to settle the score with Tian Yun. After they left, Heavenly Star Ring heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately looked at Tian Yun and asked doubtfully, "This friend is..." Tian Yun had not transmitted his voice to Heavenly Star Ring. So, Heavenly Star Ring did not know who he was. Tian Yun waved his hand and showed his real face. When Heavenly Star Ring saw him, she was struck dumb. Then she said in shock, "It's you." Heavenly Star Ring had never expected it to be Tian Yun. She looked at him in shock, unable to recover from the shock. In the blink of an eye, he had become a Grand Star Venerable, and his cultivation seemed to be higher than hers? "That's right, it's me," Tian Yun said with a faint smile. "I didn't expect to see you here. This is quite a coincidence." "I didn't expect to see you here either. Your cultivation is already so high. I don't know how you cultivate. You shouldn't call me senior. I'll just call you senior. We can't catch up to your cultivation speed." Tian Yuyuan smiled bitterly. He didn't know how Tian Yun cultivated. Grand Star Venerable? He's really a Grand Star Venerable. It's incredible. By the way, how did you end up with the Tian family? Their attention shifted to this crucial point, which was what puzzled them the most. "It's a long story. I wanted to team up with them to look for treasures, but they went back on their word and chose to exclude me." Tian Yun shrugged his shoulders and went on, "Anyway, we fell out. You saw it." They looked at each other. It seemed the process was quite complicated. "Brother, are you really going to find a Star Venerable level treasure and give it to them?" Heavenly Star Ring asked, frowning. "What else? After all, you were trained by the Tian family. You have to repay them," Tian Yuan said coldly, "but if you give it to them, you'll never have anything to do with them." Heavenly Star Ring nodded. Her eyes were filled with sadness, but she knew she had to do this because of her father's situation. They had been treated like goods since they were young. They had no choice. That was why Tian Yuan had chosen to leave. He didn't like the Tian family, and he didn't like his father either. "Brother we came to the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion prepared." Tian Yuan's eyes lit up. He smiled mysteriously. "Prepared?" Tian Yun's eyes lit up. He said through sound transmission, "Is it a map similar to the one in the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion?" "Almost. Since you are here, let's go together. When we get the treasures, we can take turns sharing them. What do you think?" Tian Yuan wasn't stingy. Yi Tianyun had helped them a lot, so they had to take him with them. Chapter 22:14. After a simple exchange, Yi Tianyun had a general idea of what was going on. They had obtained a map outside by chance. It was a map of the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion. They knew the general structure and some descriptions of the areas inside. Although it was not very detailed, there were many things recorded. It was enough for them to explore many areas. But for now, it was temporarily useless. If they did not pass through this place, they would not be able to enter the inner area. This was clearly some kind of special checkpoint that prevented intruders from going deeper. This time, when we go to the Purple Gold Divinity Pavilion to look for treasures, we have to be wary of a very serious matter. After understanding the situation, Yi Tianyun looked at them solemnly. What is it? Their expressions turned serious. Looking at Yi Tianyun's expression, they believed that it was not simple. The giant beast race. Yi Tianyun explained the general situation of the giant beast race. Their expressions changed drastically. They did not expect such a thing to happen. The giant beast race actually had such a plan. How terrifying. Tianyun's expression was grim. This means that even if we get the treasures, we might be wiped out by the giant beast race. Not only will we lose our lives, but the treasures will also be taken away. If that was really the case, their efforts would have been in vain. Tian Xinghuan's expression also changed. Who would have thought that there would be such an aureole behind them? Moreover, it was a very cruel kind. Yes, so we should try our best not to clash and preserve our strength. If the giant beast race comes, we can either defend or escape. Yi Tianyun shook his head and said, But who would believe this? That's right, Yi Tianyun said. The giant beast race has been gone for so long. Now, they are almost completely wiped out. Some are even being kept as pets. If they suddenly say that they will attack, no one will believe it. Yi Tianyun shook his head and sighed. He had to say that this was really a tragedy. However, if it were him, he would not believe it either. There were no giant beast race around. Who would believe that there would be so many giant beast race attacking? To many cultivators, the giant beast race was about to be wiped out. Would they make a comeback? If he were to say it out loud, people would only think that he was lying. He was trying to trick them into not continuing to fight for treasures in the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion. When will they make their move? Skyder Yuan asked solemnly. I'm not too sure about that. At any rate, let's focus on finding the treasure first. If the other families take it away, we'll have nothing left, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Their current goal was to search for treasures. The giant beast race, which was an uncertain factor, was temporarily set aside. That's true, but how do we get in now? So many cultivators have searched the house, but they haven't found a single clue. Tianyuan shook his head. They also searched many houses, but apart from piles of furniture, they could not find any trace. The entrance is hard to find, but it's not impossible, Yi Tianyun smiled confidently. I've been observing for a while, and I've already figured out how to get in. What brother Yi found it? Both of their eyes lit up. They thought that they would be like headless flies, searching everywhere. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun had already found them. Yes, with a little effort we can still find it. I've checked, and the elders of the other big families have also found some clues. One of them has basically found it, and she's very powerful. Yi Tianyun looked to the side and saw many cultivators searching, but he didn't know who they were looking for. That person, could it be Sister Jingxin? Tian Xinghuan guessed boldly. It seems that you know her quite well. Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. Along the way, he saw that Jingxin's direction was very accurate. If they continued like this, they would definitely find the entrance. He didn't expect Tian Xinghuan to be right. Of course, Sister Jingxin is very powerful. I've met her once. Especially when it comes to deducing the various formations and some of her insights, she has amazing attainments. It's just that there's a very difficult guy who keeps pestering her. Tian Xinghuan looked displeased. Yi Tianyun knew she was talking about Zhu Xing, who stuck to her like a dog's skin plaster. Yes, I'm talking about her. If she's given a little more time, she'll be able to break it. Lee Tianyun smiled and said, but before that, let us go in first. We can't let others take the lead. Follow me. Lee Tianyun smiled and flew forward, and the other two quickly followed. Even though they had some attainments in star tattoos, they still couldn't find any clues here, which made them very distressed. Now that Lee Tianyun said he could find it, they wanted to see how Lee Tianyun could do it. Soon Tianyun came to the roof of a building and stood there. The other two landed one after another and stood beside Lee Tianyun. This action attracted the attention of Tian Yueming and the others. The area was so big, and with their higher cultivation, they could see what was going on here from afar. The key to breaking this place is here. Lee Tianyun smiled faintly. They lowered their heads and looked down, but they couldn't see anything. Yes, it's here. Can you see anything? Lee Tianyun asked. I can't. They shook their heads. If they could see anything, they wouldn't be wandering around here blindly. All right, I'll let you see how to break it now. After knowing a little, you'll realize that it's very simple. Of course, it might look simple, but finding it is another matter. Lee Tianyun explained as he formed a seal. With a wave of his hand, the surrounding buildings merged together. Accompanied by rumbling sounds, the sturdy buildings were moved over. These buildings could be moved, but it was difficult to destroy them. After a few moves, the buildings were pieced together into a formation. Just as they were pieced together, a door of light appeared in front of them, enveloping them. At this moment, everyone's gazes gathered over, and they were stunned by this scene. They didn't expect it to work like this. Let's hurry up and go in. Lee Tianyun took the lead and walked in. Tian Yuan and the others were stunned for a moment, but they quickly followed and disappeared into the door of light. When the other cultivators reacted, they quickly rushed over. However, before they could reach, the door of light closed. Damn it, we're too slow. They cursed angrily, but it was meaningless. The door of light closed, and a second door of light did not appear. Chapter 22:15. What's going on? Tian Yueming and the others were shocked and quickly flew over. They were all shocked by the scene in front of them. Lee Tianyun had said he did not know how to open it. How did he know how to open it in the blink of an eye? Wasn't this a slap in the face? What's going on? Didn't he say he could not open it? How come he knows how to open it now? He was the first to open it. Tian Kuangyue and the others were dumbfounded. They could not help but raise their heads to look at Tian Yueming and Tian Shengfeng. Tian Shengfeng's face was red. He was extremely embarrassed. He had been mocking Lee Tianyun for talking nonsense. He had even said that if Tian Yueming could not see through it, Lee Tianyun would not be able to see through it either. Now, not to mention seeing through it, even the passageway had been opened, and he had easily entered it. They had entered, leaving Tian Yueming and the others outside awkwardly. They did not know how long it would take for them to see through it. At least this place could not be used. After piecing the pieces together, the passage would appear. The passage could not be maintained for a long time. It would not appear again once it was closed. No matter what they did, it would not appear again, as if it was a one-time thing. This brat lied to us. He said he could not open it. Now we have found it. Tian Shengfeng said exasperatedly. Maybe it won't open before, but after pondering for a while, it will open. Tian Kuangyue interrupted from the side. You mean we chased him away? Now we let Tian Yuan and the other traders get the benefits? Tian Shengfeng frowned, looking at Tian Kuangyue with displeasure. I did not say that. Tian Kuangyue muttered to himself. He did not mean that, but the listener did not. If they had discovered it after Lee Tianyun left, they would have suffered a great loss. Lee Tianyun was the first one to mention that there was a maze here. However, Tian Shengfeng had not believed Lee Tianyun. Instead, he had believed Tian Yueming. Now, Tian Yueming and Tian Shengfeng had been slapped in the face. They had forced a star venerable away, and they could only watch like idiots. If we follow this train of thought, we will be able to find the entrance as well. It will just take some time. Tian Yueming's face turned gloomy as he quickly searched to the side. According to this train of thought, the rest of the passageways could also be formed by piecing together houses. As for how to piece them together, that would require attainments in this aspect. This kind of formation was hidden too deeply. Without Yi Tianyun's help, they really did not think that they would be able to break it like this. I didn't expect that there would be someone who comprehended faster than me. Jing Exen looked at the place where Yi Tianyun disappeared, and her beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. She already had an idea, and she also chose to assemble the houses to open the passage. Just a little bit more and he would know the exact method to break it. However, she was still a beat slower than Yi Tianyun. However, she did not panic. After all, this was only the first batch. If there were several batches, she might panic a little. Jingxin, how do you feel? Elder Chu Hedong asked from the side. He looked a little anxious as he saw that Yi Tianyun and the others were the first to enter. It could be said that everyone present was nervous. They were worried that Yi Tianyun and the others would frantically search for treasures or that they would be half a beat slower. Just a little bit more. Jing Exen was calm. Grand Elder, don't be anxious. Even if they entered, they wouldn't be able to find treasures so quickly. The Violet Gold Divinity Pavilion is not an ordinary pavilion. If it was so easy to search for treasures, the Violet Gold Divinity Pavilion would have been emptied long ago. After Jing Exen said this, the surrounding companions paused. After thinking about it carefully, they felt that it was true. There was no need to be so nervous. The Violet Gold Divinity Pavilion had been opened countless times, and no one had emptied it before. Therefore, there was no need to be so nervous. It was a pity that they didn't enter first, but there was no need to panic. Jingxin is right. We are all panicking. When we see others enter first, we think that we can immediately search for treasures. Chu Hetong heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that he was not as calm as Jing Exen. Compared to her age, Jing Exen was much younger. She was much calmer than these old farts. Indeed, in less than a moment, Jing Exen pieced together a pile of houses and formed a perfect passageway. When the passageway appeared again, it immediately made the surrounding cultivators rush over crazily as if they were injected with chicken blood. However, after Jing Exen and the others entered, the passageway closed very quickly. It could be said that it only took a few breaths of time. If Jing Exen and the others were slower, they might not even be able to enter. The time was really too tight. There was no time to react at all. If the distance was very close, it would be needless to say. As the clans formed groups, the other clans would not casually approach them. If they casually approached them, they might be regarded as hostile. Under such circumstances, it was relatively difficult to rush over in a short period of time. Damn it, we are still too slow. Some of the other cultivators angrily stomped on those houses, destroying them. However, it was meaningless. Jing Exen and the others went in. Zhu Xing looked at the elder next to him with great dissatisfaction and asked, "Do you all have any ideas now? This is the second batch of people who went in." Zhu Xing didn't have much attainments in this aspect. For such a playboy to be able to cultivate to this realm is already very good. As for other aspects, he has no interest and is too lazy to learn them. Therefore, in terms of breaking the array, they can only rely on the elders to break it. I already have a preliminary idea. As long as I spend a little more time, I will be able to break it. With the idea provided, they knew how to explore. This is similar to a jigsaw puzzle. They must put it together correctly in order to open the passageway. However, these jigsaw puzzles, how many pieces are needed, they don't know. For example, what Yi Tianyun and Jing Exen put together is completely different. The number is also different, and even the shape is different. Therefore, it's not that easy to break. After the second batch of people went in, many clans became nervous and continued to look for a way to break it. The Tian and Mu clans can be said to have increased their horsepower and continued to explore. At the same time, after passing through the light gate, Yi Tianyun and the others successfully arrived at another area. Looking up, it was still the same crisscrossing passageway. At a glance, there are dozens of forks, and they really don't know where to start. Chapter 22:16. This area finally matches the map you've been looking for? Tianyun looked around. They could finally get in. Just the maze outside was enough to block many cultivators outside. This was not an easy task to find. It would take a lot of effort. Yes, it's basically all here. Tianyuan took out the map he had found and spread it in front of Tianyun. They were partners, so they did not need to hide anything. They showed it to Tianyun directly. Tianyun took the map and glanced at it. He had a general idea of the structure. What was recorded on the map wasn't very comprehensive. It was only a small area, and it wasn't a very inner area either. But it did match this area. At least it could be seen from the passageways. If he was not sure, he could check any passageway to find out whether the map was correct or not. This map must have been drawn by practitioners who came here to explore before. If that's the case, a lot of areas have probably been explored and the treasures have been taken away. Tianyun saw many marks on the map. Some indicated treasures, while others were circled to indicate that it was difficult to enter. Yes, so we should focus on exploring the areas that haven't been explored before. I hope we can find star venerable level treasures. Tianyuan had mentioned 3-star venerable level treasures mainly because he had the map. He thought he could find star venerable level treasures with the map. That was why he had agreed. On the other hand, he thought he was redeeming his sister's freedom. It sounded harsh, but it was the truth. He had to do this in order to get rid of the Tian family as soon as possible. As for destroying the Tian family and getting his freedom, he had never thought about that. The Tian family was harsh and ruthless, but they did a good job most of the time. The treasures were just a way of repaying them. Brother E, I hope to get the 1st-star venerable level treasure. Can we take it first? I know it's mostly because of you that we can come here, but I'd like to ask you to let me take it first. Tianyuan looked sincere. Brother. Tian Xinhuan took Tianyuan's arm. She knew what her brother meant. What's wrong with that? You take it first. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start searching now. We must find at least 1-star venerable level treasure. Tianyun smiled. He did not care much about the star level treasure. What he cared more about was the key in his inventory. He wanted to know which door it could open. He felt that there would definitely be more treasures in the areas that could be opened. Star venerable level treasures would not be a problem for him. However, it was not clear where exactly it was. Thank you, Brother E. Tianyuan was very grateful. Immediately after, they moved quickly. First, they followed the mark on the map and headed to a room that had been opened before. If it was according to the map, then it had been opened before, which proved that the map really matched this place. As they sprinted, they soon arrived at the corresponding area. After opening the door, the first thing that came into view was the empty treasury. The fact that there were no treasures here didn't make them depressed. Instead, it made them extremely happy. The violet gold divine pavilion was so huge. Only the heavens knew where they would be teleported to. If they couldn't match the map, it would be equivalent to coming here for nothing. Since the map seemed to match, it meant it was useful. The mark on the map is the same. Looks like we didn't go to the wrong place. They were happy. In this way, the map could be used. Then let's start looking for treasures. Tianyun was also happy. This way, they could save a lot of time. After looking at the map, he found the map was very messy. There were many dead ends in it. It was unknown how much time they would waste if they just ran blindly. Since they had come in first, they had to make good use of this advantage. Who knew whether those practitioners would also come in from this place? Anyway, they had to race against time. They tried to search for treasures quickly before those practitioners came in. They quickly went to the circled area according to the map. At the same time, they were even more cautious. Only the heavens knew whether there was a killing formation here. If they did, they would not even know how they would die. There are so many corpses. As they sprinted, they reached a section where they saw many corpses on the side. The flesh on their bodies had disappeared. Only white bones were left, lying on the side in disorder. Judging from the condition of those corpses, it was obvious that they had died a tragic death. Their companions were probably all dead, so no one could collect the corpses. From here onwards, there will be a killing formation. Tianyun looked up. His eyes flickered as he activated his appraisal eye to the fullest. He did not miss a single detail. He could immediately tell that there was indeed a killing formation in this area. Even without him saying anything, the siblings could sense that something was very wrong in front of them. There was a terrifying aura coming from up ahead. It seems that if we want to get the treasures, we have to put in a lot of effort. Tian Yuan grinned. They had already expected this. Whether it was the purple gold divine pavilion or some other ruins, there would be similar killing formations to prevent intruders from entering. The treasures could not be taken away so easily. If that was really the case, there would be no need for them to come in. After all, everything had been taken away. What was the point of them coming in? Then let's start looking at this killing formation now. Let's see how we can pass through it. Tian Yuan looked around the area to see if he could find a perfect passage. Just follow me. Tianyun lifted his feet and walked forward. It was as if he did not care about this place at all. Huh. They were stunned. Didn't they say that there was a killing formation here? Why did Tianyun just walk through it? Follow my footwork and follow me. Tianyun reminded them. After the two of them came back to their senses, they quickly followed behind him. Step by step, they stepped over the corpses under their feet and continued to walk forward. There were no problems along the way. This made them feel very strange. Didn't they say that there was a killing formation? After walking for a while, Tianyun said calmly, "We passed through the killing formation. Let's continue forward." What? We passed just like that? Tian Yuan was stunned. She suspected that the killing formation was gone. Don't you believe me? Tianyun said with a smile. It's not that we don't believe you, but your speed is too fast. Tian Yuan found it hard to believe. In such a short time, Tianyun had broken through the killing formation? Tianyun did not explain. He randomly picked up a corpse and threw it forward. Before the corpse landed on the ground, an invisible force suddenly bombarded it and sent it flying. It hit the wall and turned into a pile of powder. Chapter 22:17. You believe me now, right? Tianyun smiled calmly. He knew that neither of them believed that the purple gold divinity pavilion could be broken so quickly. The corpses on the ground meant that many strong people had died here. However, Tianyun had led them out so easily. How could they not be shocked? They had not seen him for a while, and he had improved so much. But that was the truth. With the super appraisal eye, he could easily identify the perfect path. The simpler it was, the faster he could find the perfect path. Obviously, the killing formation's overall difficulty was acceptable. Besides, he was a high-level astral tattooist, so he had found it easily. I believe you. They nodded quickly. They had no choice but to believe him. Everything was too shocking. They had a whole new level of respect for Tianyun because of his terrifying speed. He had been so helpless against Grand Star Venerables when they had parted last time. Now, even ordinary Grand Star Venerables would not be able to deal with Tianyun. This change was too great, and for a time, they couldn't wrap their heads around it. At this moment, a figure flickered on the side. Then, a familiar figure appeared in front of them. Separated by the killing array, one could see who these people were. It's elder sister Jing Exe. Tian Xinghuan looked up. One of them was Grand Star Venerable Jing Exen, whom she was familiar with. I knew elder sister Jing Exen would come in quickly, but I didn't expect her to be so fast. She was just a little slower than us. The time difference between them was not great. She had caught up with them in a short while. Tianyun looked at Jing Exen, and Jing Exen looked back at him. They exchanged a look. Tianyun looked away first and led them inside. Since their opponents had come in, they had to act quickly. Jing Exen looked at Tianyun's back from afar. Her eyes flashed. This person is a little special. He seemed to have been with the Tian family and the Mu family. He seemed to have a falling out with them. Then he formed a team with the traders of the Tian family. According to this, it is indeed a bit special. Chu Hatong nodded. That's not what I meant. He gave me an indescribably special feeling, like an unfathomable feeling. Up until now, no one has been able to give me such a special feeling. It's hazy and I can't get rid of all the illusions. Jing Xian frowned. This was not a good thing for her. So magical? Who else hasn't been seen through by you? Chu Hetong said in shock. Yes, the world is so big that nothing is too strange. He is one of those that I can't easily see through. Jing Xian nodded and said, perhaps the biggest problem of the violet gold divine pavilion lies in him. Chu Hetong did not believe it. His cultivation isn't bad. He's a middle-stage Grand Star Venerable. But there are only 3 of them. Putting aside the other 2, how can he overturn the heavens by himself? That's hard to say. I'm not too sure myself. In short, he gives me a special sense of mystery. He might be the greatest opponent of the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion this time. Jing Xian said with a serious expression, we have to pay attention to this. Based on the current situation, he is already ahead of us. For example, they easily pass through the killing formation. This person has many tricks up his sleeves. We do have to pay attention to this. Chu Hetong and the others nodded. No matter what, they had to pay more attention to this. Otherwise, they would die if they were not careful. Then, they followed the others to break through the formation. Their speed was much slower than Yi Tianyun's. However, with Jing Xian's ability, they seemed to be able to deduce the correct path relatively easily. At the same time, Yi Tianyun and the others arrived at the special area marked on the map. It seems like the passage is different, but we will all be transported here. After seeing Jing Xian and the others, Yi Tianyun confirmed that this was the passage that they had to enter. Apart from the initial area, the situation inside was the same. Yes, we have to hurry up. If we continue like this, more cultivators will come in. We won't have it easy then. Tian Yuan and the others nodded in agreement. In front of us is the door that hasn't been opened yet. I wonder what treasures will be inside. Tianyun flew forward and soon came in front of a door. This door is not like the other areas. It is open. It means that there are still treasures inside. Not all of them have been looted. In front of them were piles of densely packed star runes that enveloped the door. If they wanted to open the door, they had to break through these star runes before they could enter. Then let's start breaking through these star runes. With the 3 of us working together, it will be much faster. Tian Yuan and the others weren't surprised. All the doors here were like this. Either the owner of this place or they had to break through by force. There was no third option. If many cultivators came in, they were most afraid that after they worked hard to break through the door, other cultivators would rush in and snatch away the fruits of their victory. Right now, they had enough time. As long as they were fast enough, they could at least open a few more treasure vaults. Tian Yuan and Heavenly Star Ring's Star Rune Masters weren't low level. This was also why they were confident that they could obtain treasures here. Alright, let's break through it together. Yi Tianyun didn't reject their help. After all, this door was so huge that even he would need some time to break through it. With their help, they could break through as much as they could. Soon, they started breaking through. Heavenly Star Ring and Tian Yuan started from the 2 sides, while Yi Tianyun started from the middle. At the beginning, Yi Tianyun immediately activated Crazy Mode and increased his breaking speed by 25 times. All of a sudden, the star patterns on it were like ordinary ink marks, and a part of it was easily erased. As for the other 2, their speed was much slower. They were erased bit by bit. While they were working hard to erase a small area, Yi Tianyun had already erased a large area. Most importantly, they didn't know. They focused all their attention on the star runes in front of them and didn't pay attention to Yi Tianyun. When Yi Tianyun quickly approached Heavenly Star Ring suddenly turned his head and realized that the star runes in the area under Yi Tianyun's control had all disappeared. What's going on? Heavenly Star Ring was dumbfounded. He stopped his breaking work. Nothing much. Leave this to me. Go help Brother Tian. Yi Tianyun gestured for Heavenly Star Ring to help Tian Yuan so that he could break through the star runes. Chapter 22:18. Gosh, am I seeing a level 7 or level 8 astral tattooist? Tian Yuan and the others were dumbfounded. They wondered if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Tianyun had erased a large number of astral tattoos in an instant. Soon, he had easily erased the area controlled by the heavenly star ring. Then he went back to where Tianyuan was. "Leave it to me." Tianyun ignored their shocked expressions. He took up Tianyuan's position and started to erase the astral tattoos quickly. In less than a moment, the star patterns on it were quickly and thoroughly erased, leaving the door completely blank. "All right." Tianyun pushed the gate forward without hesitation. In the absence of star runes, this door was just a slightly thicker door. With a forceful push, the door was pushed open. As soon as the gate was pushed open, the aura of treasures poured out from inside. When it was fully opened, they saw a treasure floating in the air at the center. Upon a closer look, they found it was a star venerable level treasure. They had never expected there to be a star venerable level treasure in this treasure trove. They were really lucky. Normally, not all treasure troves had star venerable level treasures. Sometimes, there were other kinds of treasures, not necessarily star venerable level. They could be galaxy level treasures or a batch of elixirs. Of course, they could also be empty. At this place, there was a treasure floating in midair. It's a star venerable level treasure. We are so lucky. We will find one soon. Tianyuan and the others were extremely excited. They would get one soon. If they handed it over, the heavenly star ring would be free. But after coming to themselves, they hesitated for a while and said to Yun, "Brother E, this treasure should be yours." But Tianyun said with a faint smile, "Didn't we agree that we would take turns to get one?" "That's true, but you broke the killing formation. You even broke the gate." The two of them were extremely embarrassed. Thinking about it carefully, they realized they had not done anything at all. If it weren't for Tianyun, who knew how long it would take for them to get in? "Didn't you guys provide a map?" "Just this map alone is enough," Tianyun said with a smile. "Map?" Tianyuan said awkwardly, "Even without this map, Brother E would only need to spend a little more time relying on his own strength." This time, they felt very embarrassed. Although they really wanted to take this treasure, when they thought about how they didn't do much, they couldn't take it. "All right, there's no need to worry about these things. We've already agreed that we'll take turns, so we'll take turns." Tianyun shrugged and said with an indifferent expression, "Instead of being conflicted here, why don't we hurry up and get the treasures, then go look for other treasures?" "If you really feel embarrassed, you can join my force and help me fend off the giant beast race." Tianyun smiled. What he said next was a simple and crude attempt to rope him in. How could he let go of two grand star venerables? Tianyuan nodded and said, "We've been thinking about whether we should establish our own sect or join another force. Since Brother E is so loyal, we'll join your force." They wanted to train outside, but that didn't mean they would stay outside forever. They still wanted to establish their own force. Now that Tianyun had invited them, and Tianyun was quite capable and had a good character, they basically hit it off. The heavenly star ring nodded. They had considered joining Tianyun's force before, but the heavenly clan had been chasing them. But they have been hunted by the Tian family, and joining Tianyun is basically equivalent to implicating him. Now that they got the treasure, they could completely leave the heavenly clan. So, there wouldn't be any problems joining Tianyun's force. But Tianyun's eyes lit up. Treasures were dead, but people were alive. For him, living people were the most important thing. "Then I won't stand on ceremony. I'll take the first treasure first." Tianyuan was very excited. He came forward quickly and opened his hand. The star venerable level treasure was enveloped in his hand. He was going to pull it out. However, the star venerable level treasure was firmly attached to it. It looked like it would take a lot of effort to pull it out. "Let's wait here. It won't be a problem to get the treasure. It'll just take some time." Tianyun took a look at Tianyuan. It wouldn't be a problem for him to get the treasure. Given Tianyuan's strength, it wouldn't be a problem for him to get the treasure. At this moment, a group of people suddenly appeared at the gate. "It's a star venerable level treasure." Chu Hatong and the others stared at the treasure Tianyuan was pulling with greed in their eyes. They could tell what level it was at first glance. The Heavenly Star Ring became vigilant as soon as they saw them. The Chu family was one of the best big families. They had sent 7 Grand Star Venerables, including 3 in the late stage. That was enough to show how strong they were. The other geniuses in the late stage of the Star Venerable level were not included. It wouldn't take long for another group of Grand Star Venerables to appear. The Chu family and the Zhu family were both the best. They were one of the strongest families on the Red Moon planet. The Heavenly Star Ring was really nervous now that they were here. If they fought, they wouldn't be able to resist them. I didn't expect you to open a gate so quickly, and there is even a Star Venerable level treasure inside. Chu Hatong laughed and said, "Now, I'll give you 2 options. You can either leave now, or we will force you to leave. Make your choice." Chu Hatong was very overbearing. He would be a fool if he didn't fight against a Star Venerable level treasure. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. He hadn't expected them to come so quickly. It seemed Jing Xen wasn't weak. She had found the right way to the killing formation so quickly. She wasn't much slower than him. This ability was really amazing. Jing Xen was really a super genius. In terms of deduction ability, she was definitely the strongest he had ever seen. "Don't be so nervous. Yi Tianyun looked calm. He told the Heavenly Star Ring not to panic. The Heavenly Star Ring was struck dumb. How could they not panic? There were 7 Grand Star Venerables in front of them, including 3 in the late stage. It was impossible for them not to panic. Not bad. No wonder they dared to fall out with the Tian family and the Mu family. Chu Hatong said with a smile, "If the Tian family and the Mu family were here, I might be a bit scared. But now." Chu Hatong took a few steps forward. He said with a smile, "Do you think the 3 of you can stop them?" "Great Elder, let's go," Jing Xen, who was at the side, suddenly said. "What?" Chu Hatong thought he had misheard. Jing Xen wanted them to leave. Chapter 22:19. Jing Xen had asked her people not to fight. That was beyond everyone's expectations. Tian Xinghuan was even more surprised. She did not think that Jing Xen would choose to leave because of her. She had met Jing Xen a few times, but only a few times. She wouldn't give up a Star Venerable treasure because of that. "Why?" Chu Hatong asked, frowning. "No reason. There are other areas waiting for us to explore." "We won't fight with them," Jing Xen said, glancing calmly at Yi Tianyun. "There are only 3 of them, while we have 7. Our cultivations and numbers are much higher than theirs. Even if we fight, we won't suffer any losses." Chu Hatong still couldn't understand. They had the absolute advantage, but they had given up. It made him feel like he was going crazy. Chu Hatong wasn't being arrogant in terms of numbers and cultivations. They were basically suppressing their opponents in every aspect. In such a situation, they would be stupid not to fight for the treasure. There might be many Star Venerable treasures in the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion, but who would complain about having more Star Venerable treasures? If they could get one, they would get one. No one would complain about having more. Moreover, the inner area of the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion was not a place that could be entered easily. This was also the reason why very few people had obtained Star Venerable level treasures all this time. Some treasures were obviously there, but you couldn't get them. That was the biggest problem. "Grand Elder, let's go." Jing Xen turned around and left. She didn't respect the Grand Elder. "All right." Chu Hatong sighed. He left with Jing Xen with the other elders. They didn't fight for the treasure. That was the Grand Elder, but Jing Xen treated him like this. Yi Tianyun was surprised. She didn't just listen to Jing Xen, she didn't get angry. That made him think Jing Xen's status was even higher. Her cultivation might not be the highest, but it seemed she was even stronger than the Grand Elder. After they left, Heavenly Star Ring heaved a sigh of relief. "They're finally gone. I thought I had no choice but to give them up." If they chose to give up, Chu Hatong and the others would not pursue the matter and would directly let them go. If they could avoid fighting, they would definitely not fight. Killing them wouldn't bring them any benefits. If they were to go all out and injure their side, it would definitely affect them greatly. Therefore, if they could avoid fighting here, they would basically avoid fighting. Unless they encountered a shocking treasure, they would have to fight. This Miss Jing Xen is quite interesting. Yi Tianyun rubbed his chin as he watched them leave. I'll remember this. Next time I encounter such a situation, I'll choose to let them go. Young Master Yi, they have 7 great star venerables. Can you defeat them? Heavenly Star Ring was shocked. It's hard to say. Yi Tianyun smiled mysteriously. He was not afraid of facing 7 great star venerables. He was not sure who would win if they fought. At least if he wanted to escape, he could escape at any time. No one could stop him. Under such circumstances, it was hard to say who would die. However, Jing Xen had left with them. Theoretically, they had avoided a great loss. Even if Yi Tianyun could not kill all of them, he could at least kill most of them. When they took revenge later, that would be the most terrifying. Heavenly Star Ring looked at him suspiciously but did not say anything. She felt Yi Tianyun was becoming more and more mysterious. She had found Yi Tianyun mysterious ever since she saw his cultivation improve by leaps and bounds. She did not know how he cultivated. Maybe Yi Tianyun really had a trump card that could kill many of his opponents. While they were talking, Jing Xen and the others turned a corner and went to another area. Jing Xen, what's going on? Why didn't we rob them? Chu Hetong asked after they left. He could not ask in front of Yi Tianyun and the others. I have a bad feeling. I feel that Special Great Star Venerate has a special power. If he explodes, we might be in danger. Jing Xen said with a frown, I can't describe it. Anyway, I don't want to have a conflict with him. Is that even possible? Chu Hetong frowned. Then he shook his head and said, forget it. Since it's your feeling, let's just go with it. Your feeling has never been wrong. Jing Xen's feeling has never been wrong. Especially with the help of the unique Star Dharma idol, she can infer many things. We'd better believe it to avoid any bad consequences. It's a pity to give up a star venerable treasure, but we have to play it safe. Maybe there are a lot of star venerable treasures waiting for us in another area. Chu Tianla smiled optimistically. They all chose to listen to Jing Xen. They did not have any complaints. Because Jing Xen's feeling was not correct only once. It was correct almost every time. That was why they chose to believe her. Although they thought they could still fight for it, they had to give up to avoid any accidents. According to the map, we only need to make a detour to reach the next treasury. Chu Hetong took out the map and spread it out to check the information on it. If Yi Tianyun and the others were here, they would find that the map was exactly the same as the one they had. The signs and the positions of the circles were exactly the same. Yi Tianyun and the others were guarding the gate. Tianyuan was about to subdue the star venerable treasure, so no one dared to come in for the moment. It's done! Tianyuan shouted in pleasant surprise. The light in his hand soared and sucked the star venerable level treasure into his hand. He grasped it firmly and took complete control of the star venerable level treasure. After sensing it carefully, Tianyuan exclaimed, no wonder it's a star venerable treasure. I feel my power has been greatly enhanced when I hold it. I can even fight with someone at a higher level. No wonder so many forces are scrambling for it. They don't want to give up such a treasure. Tianyuan sighed. However, they would have to hand it in before they left. But compared to his sister's freedom, this treasure was nothing. Let's go. Let's go to the next place. Let's go before the other practitioners come, Yi Tianyun nodded and said. The Chu family really scared me when they showed up. I thought they were going to rob us. Fortunately, Jing Xen asked them to leave. That's strange. Tianyuan found it very strange. He really thought they had to give up. Well, we don't want to clash with them anyway. Yi Tianyun said with a smile and continued to lead them forward. After making a detour, they ran into Jing Xen and the others again. They were busy breaking the star patterns on the treasury. This time, they turned around and left. They didn't stay there. Chapter 22:20. After circling around for a while, they found another treasure house. and then they started to explore the treasure house without the slightest hesitation. Thanks to Yi Tianyun's shocking speed, they witnessed the miracle of destroying it within seconds. The star patterns on the door were erased in a short while. It was extremely easy. After pushing open the heavy door, what they saw was not any star venerable level treasure, but some elixirs. They went in and searched for a while. There were not many elixirs, but they were of high quality. They were much worse than star venerable level treasures. These elixirs had some effect on them, but it was not obvious. They had a good effect on star venerables. For them, the effect was average. This was not unexpected. Not all treasury vaults had a large number of treasures or star venerable level treasures. If that were the case, star venerable level treasures would have been everywhere outside. After all, many of the treasury vaults had been opened, but there were still very few star venerable level treasures outside. They had almost never been seen. Even if there were, they would only be clan treasures. They would not be taken out unless it was a critical moment. No one knew what the rules of how the treasures were placed in the violet gold divine pavilion. In any case, there were some scattered treasures inside. Some of the treasury vaults were even empty. This was the most frustrating thing. They had worked so hard for nothing, yet they could not find a single treasure. That would make them want to vomit blood. They are all elixirs. What a pity! Tian Yuan sighed and said, then we can only look for the next treasury. Let's see if we can find star venerable level treasures quickly. That will depend on luck. If we can find it, we will find it. If we can't, there is nothing we can do. Tian Yun had a smile on his face, as if he did not care about this. He did not regard treasures as dirt. It was just that this was not his target. In any case, the violet gold divine pavilion key was not used to open these treasure vaults. If it could be used to open the treasury, they would be able to plunder all the treasures effortlessly. Brother E, your state is pretty good. Any other Grand Star Venerable would be hopping mad. After spending so much effort, I still couldn't find the treasure. That kind of mood is extremely bad. Tian Yuan smiled and said, but Brother E is different. His speed is too fast. If you have the ability, your mentality will be different. In his opinion, the fact that Tian Yun could have such a mentality meant that he was extremely capable. For example, a treasure could take hundreds of years to forge. Some people spent hundreds of years, only to fail at the last moment. How would they feel? If someone were to forge the same treasure, they would only spend a few days. Even if they failed, they wouldn't feel it was a pity. Tian Yun was able to break through the star runes so easily. Even if there were no treasures inside, it wouldn't make him feel bad. Something like that. Tian Yun didn't explain too much. Anyway, no one could guarantee anything, so he didn't want to explain the situation. Shortly after, they rushed to the next treasury, and when they arrived, they saw Jing Xian and the others breaking the star runes on the treasures. This meant that they had already broken through the second one. Their speed was quite shocking. Compared to Tian Yun's team, they were slower, but overall, their speed was quite shocking. It's them again. We ran into them again. Tian Yuan was stunned. They had run into them before, but now they ran into them again. After all, there were many treasures in this area, and there were many detours. Every passage could lead to a different area. However, they ran into them again, which made them feel very strange. What a coincidence! They've met us again. However, the speed at which they break through is really fast. Chu Hetong and the others were startled. Soon after, they laughed. If it wasn't for Jing Xian telling them not to attack, it could be said that they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. Tian Yuan glanced at them and said, let's go to the next area. We can't break through this treasury anymore. Tian Xinhuan nodded. When he left with Tian Yuan, he found that Tian Yun was standing still, looking at Jing Xian. Young Master Yi, why aren't you leaving? Tian Xinhuan asked. They were afraid that if they stayed any longer, Chu Hetong and the others would change their minds. After all, they had appeared so many times, it was possible that they would change their minds. I have to ask something. There's something strange about this. Tian Yun took a few steps forward and asked, Miss Jing Xian, did you find the purple gold divine pavilion's treasury map? His bold question not only stunned the other party, but also Tian Yuan and the others. What did Tianyun mean? How did this guy know that we have the purple gold divine pavilion's treasury map? Chu Hetong and the others were shocked. They had done a good job of keeping it a secret. No one would know that they had the treasury map. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flickered. After staring at Tianyun for a moment, she slowly said, "Yes, we have the treasury map. I wonder if you have any questions?" Jing Xian answered so straightforwardly without the slightest bit of concealment, which surprised them. Chu Hetong wanted to say something, but he didn't. He just wanted to explain that they had the treasury map. It wasn't like they were showing it to others. In any case, they had enough power to protect the treasury map, so it wasn't a big deal. But if he said it so bluntly, wouldn't it bring them some trouble? "Can I take a look?" Tianyun asked directly. This was too much. Chu Hetong looked like he was looking at an idiot. He had the treasure map, so why would he show it to others? Wasn't this the same as exposing the information? Just when he thought that Tianyun was an idiot and was about to retort, Jing Xian actually replied, "Yes." Then, Jing Xian really took out the treasure map under his dumbfounded eyes. This almost made Chu Hetong vomit blood. He began to suspect that Jing Xian was Tianyun's woman. She actually took out the treasure map directly? Jing Xian was very generous. She waved the treasure map in front of them. The contents inside couldn't be seen in its entirety, but at least a small part could be seen. As expected, Tianyun also took out the treasure map and flicked it forward. He said indifferently, "Miss Jing Xian, it seems like you're the same as me. You've deduced some information, right?" Jing Xian received the treasure map that Tianyun flicked over. She glanced at it and gave it to Tianyun. "That's right. I've guessed it as well." Jing Xian smiled. She met Tianyun's gaze with some admiration. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what the two were talking about. Chu Hetong and the others could see that Tianyun also had a map. It's very simple. The treasure map that this young master has is exactly the same as ours, Jing Xian said calmly. What? Chapter 22-21. Jing Xian's words had a huge impact on them. The treasure maps that they had obtained through untold hardships and relying on fortuitous encounters were actually exactly the same. Not to mention the Chu clan, even Tian Yuan and the others were stunned. They had always thought that their map was absolutely unique. But now they discovered that there was another treasure map, and it was exactly the same. The exact same treasure map. Chu Hetong was stunned and said in disbelief, "That's impossible. Our Chu clan paid such a huge price to dig it out of a dangerous place. Now you're telling me that it's not unique? See for yourselves if it's the same or not." Tianyun very generously flicked it forward. Since Jing Xian was so generous, he naturally wouldn't be stingy. Moreover, it was the exact same, so he wasn't worried that Chu Hetong would snatch it away. After Chu Hetong received it, he looked it up and down. His expression instantly darkened and his eyes were filled with killing intent. If there was an extra copy, wouldn't that be the same as exposing their treasure map? Based on this, as long as they eliminated Tianyun's side, wouldn't the treasure map not be exposed? Are you trying to silence us so that the treasure map will be unique? Tianyun smiled and completely exposed Chu Hetong's inner thoughts. Tian Yuan and the others' expressions darkened. They also felt the killing intent from Chu Hetong and immediately felt that Tianyun was a bit rash. Although they could verify that both sides had the same map, this would undoubtedly incite Chu Hetong's anger and make him want to silence them. What do you think? Chu Hetong sneered. The other elders all took a step forward with a domineering killing intent. At this moment, Jing Xian said indifferently, "First elder, you don't need to be like this. It's meaningless." This young master dared to say it, so he must have his own thoughts, or rather, his thoughts are the same as mine. Lady Jing Xian, it seems like you guessed the same as me? Tianyun smiled. It should be the same. Perhaps there isn't just one copy of this map, but many. Jing Xian revealed an even more shocking news. How is this possible? There are many copies of this map? Chu Hetong's killing intent was immediately extinguished. If there were a lot of them, then what was the point of silencing them? In this way, everything became meaningless. The blow to Chu Hetong and the others became even more exaggerated. If even Tian Yuan was shocked, then didn't that mean they hadn't done anything at all? This is just my speculation, but the possibility is very high. Your map was obtained from the so-called danger zone. According to what I know, the Mu clan also obtained a treasure map. As for the details, I'm not sure if it's the same as ours or not. According to my deductions, it should be similar. Yi Tianyun had seen such a treasure map in Mu Yangsu's memories. She only knew that they had obtained the treasure map, but Mu Yangsu had not seen what the treasure map looked like. She had only received the news, but before she could see it, Yi Tianyun had already killed her. As for the other great clans, I think they should have the treasure map as well. When I came in, I saw that they were very proactive and excited. Looking at their confident looks, I'm afraid they have also found a similar treasure map. Yi Tianyun shrugged. Generally speaking, these treasure maps are either unique or there are many copies. There won't be only two. That's right, I think so too. At first, I was a little suspicious of this treasure map and felt that it was unusual. I didn't think much about it, but now it seems that there are many copies of this treasure map. They were scattered and placed in dangerous areas, and some were even placed in less dangerous areas. Jing Xen looked at Yi Tianyun and asked, "Where did you get your copy?" Tian Yuan paused before saying, "We found it in a special cave. It was found in a corpse that had been dead for an unknown period of time. From their point of view, that corpse should have been left behind by some powerful being. It could be said that it was quite credible. This was also the reason why they came to the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion with confidence. They wanted to obtain the treasure. Who knew that they would be told that there was more than one treasure map? Under such circumstances, everyone could easily and accurately find the direction and did not need to wander around randomly. They felt a little disheartened. Under such circumstances, the map was still somewhat useful. The usefulness was that under the premise that other cultivators had not come in, the map could still be used to its greatest effect. Well, now that the verification is done, let's continue to explore the treasure vault. Now it's a race of speed. Before the other great clans come in, we should find as many treasures as we can. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly, took the treasure map that Chu Hetong threw over, and left with his people. He was only here to verify his thoughts. After figuring it out, he would know what was going on. Chu Hetong and the others did not stop Yi Tianyun. Silencing him or killing him was meaningless. The killing intent from before was extinguished in an instant. Continue to destroy them, speed up, Chu Hetong said in a low voice. They felt that Yi Tianyun's words were very credible. It was either one or countless. They believed that there were countless of them. After Yi Tianyun and the others left, they continued to the next treasure vault area. Along the way, Tian Yuan and the others asked, "Brother Yi, even if you ask clearly, it doesn't seem to be meaningful. We came in first anyway. Even if they don't have a map, once this place is filled with cultivators, everything will become irrelevant. So what if there were many treasure vault maps? It seemed meaningless now. It was better to find more treasures. If they fell out with Chu Hetong and the others, it would become especially troublesome. Important, very important." Yi Tianyun said in a low voice, "There are some things that I did not tell them, mainly because I was afraid that they would not believe me. Why do you think there are so many maps all of a sudden? Has it ever occurred to you that this was done on purpose?" Yi Tianyun's eyes were filled with a few cold glints. Done on purpose? They were stunned, and suddenly said in unison, "Could it be the giant beast clan?" "Yes, what I want to verify is not that the map in our hands is unique, nor is it a treasure, but whether this treasure map was deliberately scattered to attract more great clans." Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes, his gaze filled with wisdom. "This way, it will achieve the effect of capturing all of them in one fell swoop. Originally, many clans were hesitant. After all, this is a battlefield for the great clans. But if we have the map in our hands, do you think they will come in?" Chapter 22-22. Brother E, you really think deeply. We really didn't think about this matter. Tian Yuan and the others were not so naive, but they did not leave any traces. This was also related to the treasure map. Who would spread the news after obtaining a treasure map? Therefore, everyone thought that they had their own share, and the result was very obvious. No one could guess where the real problem lay. Tianyun had not thought of this either. He had always been thinking about what schemes the giant beast race would use to capture all the great families of planet Crimson Moon. When they ran into the Chu clan several times in a row, he realized what the problem was. It was very likely that there was more than one map. The treasure was very important. The giant beast race's scheme had to be taken seriously. At that time, so what if they obtained the treasure? It would just be a gift to others. It's normal not to think about it. I didn't think about it before either. I just happened to encounter it several times, so I had to think about it carefully. I didn't expect that Jing Xian had also thought of this problem. But Jing Xian probably won't be able to guess the giant beast race. Tianyun shook his head. He wanted to tell them the situation, but if they did not believe him, it would be pointless. I don't think anyone will know about this. The giant beast race has always been thought to be on the verge of extinction. Sister Jing Xian definitely won't think of it. Tian Xinghuan shook his head and sighed. Even though Jing Xian's abilities were good, there were some things that she could not deduce. Perhaps she could deduce some danger, but she definitely did not know what danger it was. And if she was alone, I would mention it to her. As for whether she believes it or not, it has nothing to do with me. Tianyun would not say it directly because Chu Hatong and the others were present. Only the heavens knew if they would bite back at him for his good intentions. This treasure map represents the giant beast race's location very clearly. It seems that it will also be very simple for them to come in. However, they probably did not expect that there would be changes outside, causing the situation to become a little special. Tianyun smiled. Not just the giant beast race, even the Tian family's complexion changed. The originally good plans suddenly changed. It felt like they had to start from scratch. In that case, we'll have to be cautious now. If the giant beasts sneak in, we might be ambushed. Tian Yuan and the others had solemn expressions on their faces. Since it was possible that the colossal beast race had spread the news, they would definitely make use of it. But before that, let's search for treasures first. Let's get as many as we can. If we get more star-level treasures, we can use them to protect ourselves. Tianyun didn't have a star venerable level treasure. If he had a star venerable level treasure, he would be even more powerful. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife was pretty good, but it had fallen to the galaxy level. It was still far from the star venerable level. After that, they arrived at the other treasure vaults and started to swiftly destroy them. At the same time, more and more cultivators began to pour in from the tunnel outside. I've finally broken through. The difficulty is really high, that's right. They are trying to put us in our place right from the start. The Violet Gold Divine Pavilion sure knows how to change. This place seems to correspond to the treasure map we found. It's true. This time, we are going to make a fortune. I hope we can find more star-level treasures. After groups of cultivators poured in, they were all overjoyed. Most importantly, they all had a treasure map. After they entered, they started to search quickly according to the mark on the map. Basically, every group of cultivators did the same. They all took out the treasure map secretly and started to search crazily according to the mark on it. As time went by, more and more cultivators came in. It wasn't like before when only 2 families were searching here. We've finally come in. I wonder if they found any treasures. Tian Yueming and the others looked unhappy. It took them a long time to get in. Tian Yueming and the others were unhappy, but they were still looking forward to it. If Tian Yuan and the others found some star-level treasures, they would be delighted. 3-star venerable level treasures would allow the Tian family to become one of the top great families in one go. I'm afraid they didn't find anything. How can star-level treasures be found so quickly? Besides, do they have the treasure map? Without the treasure map, they will just wander around and waste their time. Tian Shengfeng was full of disdain. Even if Yi Tianyun came in ahead of time, it wouldn't matter. In his opinion, without the treasure map, it would be meaningless. That's true. The structure on the map is so complicated. Without the map, it's not easy to find treasures. This was especially so since many of the treasure vaults had been opened. Going there would only be a waste of time and effort. There will be many traps on the way. It will be a waste of time. Tian Yueming nodded. Anyway, they have promised us that they must hand over a star venerable level treasure before we go out. That kid is really arrogant. Elder Tian Yueming, you guys have to teach him a lesson later. The elders of the Mu clan interrupted to remind them. That's for sure. Those who betray us won't have a good ending. Tian Yueming's eyes were ice cold. He led them to sneak in quickly. One after another, the big families came in, including the Zhu family. The Zhu family had come in earlier than the others. Everyone started to look for treasures as soon as they got the treasure map. Soon, the Chu family ran into a group of practitioners. When the group of cultivators saw the Chu family, they quickly turned around and left without any hesitation. The Chu family was one of the strongest forces. As long as one wasn't a fool, he wouldn't want to have a conflict with the Chu family. As there were too many cultivators, batches after batches of cultivators soon found their way to the Chu clan. They didn't have a conflict with the Chu family. But the Chu family's members didn't look happy. They all have treasure maps. Chu Hatong and the others had confirmed the situation. The area they had explored was quite deep. Even if they had come in through the first round, it would have taken them a long time to reach their area. If one or two groups had come, it wouldn't have been a big deal. There were so many families, so it was normal to run into one or two. But now they had run into a large number of practitioners. The real situation had been revealed. Yi Tianyun's words had been verified. That's right. They all have treasure maps. Jing Xian looked calm. She had expected it, so she wasn't surprised. She wasn't like Chu Hatong and the others, who didn't think it was credible. She had believed there were many treasure maps. You said you wouldn't have a conflict with them. Does that guy have some special ability, like a deduction ability? Chu Hatong asked suddenly. No, it's not about that. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, we shouldn't have a conflict with him unless it's a critical moment, Jing Xian said with a frown. Chapter 22-23. Yi Tianyun's team was so fast that they managed to crack many star patterns in the treasury in a short time. They swept through the treasury, but did not find a single star venerable treasure. Except for the first treasury, there was not a single star venerable treasure in the rest of the treasury, which disappointed them greatly. He had thought that it would be easier to find star venerable level treasures later on, but he hadn't expected that there wouldn't be any. There were only elixirs or galaxy-level treasures. Worse still, there was an empty treasury. An empty treasury was definitely the worst outcome. Brother E about the treasure map. In that case, we basically didn't contribute at all. Yet you still want to split the treasures with us. It makes us feel a little embarrassed. No matter how thick-skinned Tian Yuan was, he could not keep taking treasures. This made him feel very awkward and ashamed to accept it. He had said he was willing to share the treasures because he had the treasure map. Now that the treasure map was so common and the giant beast scheme, they felt they were not qualified to get the treasures. Brother Tian, you don't have to say that. You are going to join my force, which means you are one of us. Why are you still talking about this? Yi Tianyun smiled calmly. They had both joined his force. In Yi Tianyun's eyes, this was the best treasure. Even a large family would want to rope in 2 grand star venerables. However, they would not be willing to use star venerable treasures to rope them in. Star venerable treasures were too precious. It would be a loss to exchange them for a grand star venerable. It would be more worthwhile to exchange them for several grand star venerables. However, several grand star venerables would not exchange them for just 1 star venerable treasure. There were several of them. How could they use 1 star venerable treasure? They were not interested in galaxy treasures, and they could not afford star venerable treasures. They were in an awkward position. Thank you, brother. We will be loyal to you since we joined your force. Tian Yuan and the others were touched. To be honest, Tianyun was the only one who had such a thought. If it had been another family, they would have thought it through. This was because they had only joined, and no one could guarantee that they wouldn't betray them in the future. Therefore, they would be concerned, but they wouldn't trust them completely. As for giving away all the treasures, that was even more impossible. If he hadn't done anything meritorious, how could he casually give away treasures? If treasures were given out so casually, those big families would have fallen long ago. After all, a random group of star venerables could go and take the treasures before leaving. That would be a great profit. Tianyun's side didn't even have any merit, and they were already casually distributing the treasures. How generous! As they continued to break down the door, they finally saw some cultivators coming over. When the first group of cultivators saw them breaking through the treasure trove, they sized them up for a moment before choosing to leave. According to the strength of the two sides, there was no doubt that the one who came in was stronger. However, when they saw that Tianyun was breaking through the treasury, they didn't care about it at all. There were so many treasures in the violet gold divine pavilion, there was no need to worry about there being no more. Rather than fighting with them for this unopened treasury, it was better to go to the next one first. Since there was a first group, there would be a second group. Soon, they noticed that more and more cultivators were pouring in. The advantage of being the first to enter immediately disappeared. So many cultivators are pouring in. How can they enter so easily? Tian Xinhuan said in surprise. According to what Brother Yi said, if they have the treasure map, it will be very easy for them to enter. Moreover, they will be able to accurately find the treasury that has not been opened before. Tian Yuan felt very helpless. Looks like we have to speed up. Let's try to open as many as we can. Tian Xinhuan sighed. Their last bit of hope was completely gone. It wasn't that they didn't believe Tianyun's words, but they still hoped that not so many people would get the treasure map. Now, it seemed that almost all of them had the treasure map, and there were quite a lot of them. Don't be so discouraged. The treasury outside is just a casual appetizer. The real theme is in the inner area. Tianyun smiled. He didn't feel depressed at all. The inner area? All this while, no one has been able to enter the inner area. At most, they can only move around in this area. The key is that the passage to the inner area is not marked on the map, Tian Xinhuan said doubtfully. So, we have to find out how to enter. Just because there is no mark on the treasure map doesn't mean that we haven't found it. It could be deliberately hidden. Tianyun said indifferently, "Do you think the giant beast clan will let so many cultivators find the true location? They will definitely keep it to themselves. They won't let us touch it." According to my deduction, besides tricking more clans into coming in, this treasure map is also confusing. It will make us look for the treasury that is circled and ignore the true passage. Tianyun came up with a series of deductions. This was also after a period of speculation. Now it was slightly confirmed. Come to think of it, that's really the case? They thought about it carefully. After hearing what Tianyun said, they really felt that this was the case. Then, how should we find the correct passage? Tian Yuan frowned. He took out the map, trying to find some clues. They couldn't just follow him. No matter what, they had to find a position together. I have deduced a little about this, Tianyun said with a smile. What? Tian Yuan and the others were stunned. They didn't expect that Tianyun had already thought about this. Did you notice that the areas I've been looking for are slightly off track? Tianyun explained. That's right. We sensed it before. The areas you've chosen don't have many treasury vaults. In fact, they are gradually decreasing. They belong to the more remote corners, Tian Yuan and the others echoed. Yes, if I'm not wrong, those treasure vaults that are circled are meant to lead us away from the exit, to a direction that's completely different from the real passage. On the contrary, the further away from the treasury, the more likely it is to be the real passage. Tianyun's eyes were like torches that seemed to see through everything. Then why didn't Brother Yi go directly to that area? If we guessed wrong, we could have immediately changed direction. Tian Yuan didn't quite understand. Because even if we reached there, we might not be able to open it. So, why don't we take it step by step and see if there are any treasures? Besides, I'm waiting for them to come in. Lee Tianyun smiled coldly. Chapter 22-24. As time passed, they realized that Lee Tianyun had planned everything. Many things had been planned by him. He just hadn't told them in advance. It was probably a deduction, so he wasn't in a hurry to say it. Now that he had said it, they were shocked. They really hadn't thought about it in this way. Yes, wait for the giant beasts to come in. The giant beasts will definitely sneak in. As for how they will come in, I'm not sure. Lee Tianyun smiled faintly. Perhaps they've already mastered the method to open it. We just need to pay more attention and we'll be able to go in together. But before that, we don't know how they'll get rid of the cultivators here. They might forcibly get rid of them, or they might use other methods. Lee Tianyun couldn't guess everything. He could only make a rough guess. Then let's continue moving in step by step. Let's see what the real situation is like. Tianyun planned to follow Lee Tianyun's plan and continue exploring. Lee Tianyun nodded. It was fine as long as they followed the previous plan, unless something unexpected happened. As they gradually explored the more remote areas, there were fewer cultivators coming over. They all had maps, and there was no corresponding treasure trove marked on the maps. Naturally, they wouldn't come over. There are no signs of cultivators here. Tianyun and the others saw that there were no cultivators here at all. Everything was empty. It wasn't like before. Even if there were no treasures, there would still be some cultivators looking for something. It was different now. There were no cultivators at all. If there were any cultivators, they would either be from the giant beasts or had wandered here without a map. It was just that the latter was generally not very likely. No matter how they wandered, it was difficult to wander to this area. After all, there were many forks in the road. It was a miracle that they could wander here in such a short amount of time. We're ready to reach the end of this area. I wonder if there's a real passageway there? Tianyun knew the coordinates on the map. They were in a remote area at the edge. If they continued walking, they would reach the end. It was either a dead end or a passageway. Just then, a group of people rushed over from behind. When they saw Lee Tianyun and the others, they were stunned, as if they did not expect to see them here. Lee Tianyun looked up and focused. There were not many cultivators in front of them. There were only 4 of them, and they were all Grand Star Venerables. The highest level was late-stage Grand Star Venerate. Their overall strength was quite strong. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that they were from the Colossal Beast race. That's right, he had been wondering when the Giant Beast race would appear. Now they had finally appeared, and they had come to such a remote area. This proved that Lee Tianyun's conjecture was correct. This was the correct path. The fact that so many giant beasts were rushing over was the best proof. Why would a cultivator appear here? The man in the lead frowned. He looked at them and said in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoists, are you lost?" "More or less. We are a little lost." Lee Tianyun smiled calmly and lied, echoing the other party's words. "Actually, this path is not the correct path. We did not believe it at first, so we came here to take a look. However, we discovered that we went the wrong way." The man in the lead took out a map and unfolded it in front of them. He said, "This is the map we found. Generally speaking, there is no treasure house here, so we insisted on coming here to take a look. Who would have expected this to be the case? Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't continue forward. There is only a dead end ahead. There is no treasure house." The man generously pushed the map in front of Lee Tianyun and the others so that they could see it clearly. They probably thought that Lee Tianyun and the others did not have a map, so they took it out and showed it to them. Tianyun and the others had strange expressions. How could there be someone so stupid and generous as to show a map so casually? They had to admit that this map was exactly the same as the one they had obtained. There is only a dead end ahead, huh? Tianyun rubbed his chin as he pondered. That's right. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. We are planning to go back now. The man did not say much to them. He turned around and walked down another path. It was exactly the same as the map had shown them. After they left, Yuan Yun smiled slightly. Then let's go. With that, he led them down another path. Tian Xinhuan wanted to remind him, but Tian Yuan reached out and stopped her, gesturing for her not to say anything. After they left, the group that had just left turned around and came back. Boss, we were almost exposed. How could there be people who did not get a map? We released so many maps, so we should have been able to get a map, Do Long muttered to the side. I'm not sure about that. Before we open the door, we still don't want this place to be exposed. The man in the lead was called Pengda. They all had their own cultivator names. In the astral beast race, they did not use such names. They quickly continued to move forward, and after they disappeared, Tian Yun and the others came back again. What's going on? They went back again. Isn't that contradictory? Tian Xinhuan was extremely confused. Previously, they said that there was a dead end ahead, but now they were walking forward again. What do you think of them? Tian Yun was in no hurry to explain. Nothing much. Their cultivation is not low. I wonder which great family clan they are from. They are really unfamiliar faces. Tian Xinhuan shook his head. They are from the astral beast race. Can you tell? Tian Yun said calmly. Astral beast race? Tian Yuan and the others were shocked. That group of people were actually from the astral beast race? I can't tell at all. Aren't they ordinary cultivators? Tian Xinhuan was shocked. If you could tell, do you think they could still sneak in? Tian Yun said calmly. They have undergone evolution to achieve this effect. When I heard Brother Yi say it before, I thought it was unbelievable. Now that we are walking in front of them, we can't even sense anything. Their concealment ability is too terrifying. Even if they sneak into the sect, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Tian Yuan's expression was solemn. This was no small matter. It was not something that could be easily resolved. Chapter 22-25. The giant beasts had entered, which meant the plan had begun. Tian Xinhuan and Tian Yuan both looked serious. 3 against 4 was too difficult. The other side had a late-stage star venerable. It would be very difficult to kill them. Let's go there directly, Tian Yun said calmly. What? Go there directly? Aren't we just following them? Tian Yuan and the others were dumbfounded. They had wanted to follow them secretly and see what they were going to do. But Tian Yun said they would follow them directly. Wasn't that a bit too rude? Yes, now that we know the real passage, there's no need to think too much about it, we just need to kill it. Tian Yun said calmly. He didn't look like he was joking at all. 3 against 4? They have a late-stage star venerable. Are you sure you want to do this? Tian Yuan and the others found it unbelievable. It had always been difficult to fight someone at a higher level. That's right. Don't we have star-level treasures? It won't be a problem for us to shake them up with star-level treasures. Tian Yun looked at him with a smile and said, This is a star venerable level treasure. Can I borrow it for a while? It would be a little difficult to kill 4 grand star venerates, but it was not a problem for him. Especially with the help of a star venerable treasure, it would be even easier to deal with them. No problem. Tian Yuan quickly took out the star venerable treasure and handed it to Tian Yun without hesitation. Tian Yun took it and said with a smile, Let's go. Let's go kill the giant beasts. But since Brother Yi is so bold, I will risk my life to accompany you. Tian Yuan also smiled. He did not care about the gap between them. He's crazy. He's crazy. Tian Xinhuan looked worried. They had never seen Tian Yun's power. Even if his cultivation had increased, he was still a late-stage star venerable. It would be difficult to fight against him. A mid-stage star venerable with a star venerable treasure could fight someone at a higher level, but it depended on how well they could control it. They had just obtained the treasure, so they weren't very familiar with it. Normally, they wouldn't be able to unleash its full power. Thus, it was hard to say if they could fight someone stronger than them. Now that they were so daring to kill their way over, even Tian Xinhuan thought that they were crazy. Most importantly, she also thought that she was crazy. Not only did she not stop them, but she also followed them. When Yi Tianyun took the star venerable level treasure, he felt his hands sink. It was quite heavy. This star venerable level treasure was quite special. It was a small dagger. It wasn't a rare weapon, but it was undeniable that it wasn't as comfortable as a long sword or a spear. However, it was still a star venerable level treasure. Although it was a low-level treasure and not a superstar venerable level treasure, it was still a star venerable level treasure. The feeling of holding it was different. A very good weapon. Yi Tianyun was very satisfied with this weapon. Not bad indeed. I'm not good at using daggers. I wonder if Brother Yi is good at using daggers? Tian Yuyuan didn't care what kind of treasure it was, as long as it was a star venerable level treasure. It's okay. I can basically use it. Yi Tianyun smiled. What do you mean you can basically use it? Young Master Yi, you should be careful. Those are 4 grand star venerables. Why don't you familiarize yourself with them? If you are not familiar with them, it will be too late to familiarize yourself with them after the fight. Tian Xinghuan tried to persuade him. She didn't ask them not to fight, but at least they should familiarize themselves with the weapon. As for calling for help, they didn't have any help. If they asked others to come over, they probably wouldn't want to come over. They all preferred to act according to the treasure map instead of coming to this remote area. No need. I'm a little confident in using a dagger. Yi Tianyun smiled. There was no weapon he didn't know. After getting the memories of so many practitioners, he had mastered many martial arts techniques and abilities, especially in the use of weapons. Although he wasn't the best, he was at least proficient in most of them. Tian Xinghuan didn't say anything after hearing Yi Tianyun's words, but she was a little worried. Sister, don't worry. Even if we can't beat them, we can still run away. I don't believe that they'll catch up to us here. When the time comes, we'll let the other cultivators see the true face of the giant beast clan. Tian Yuyuan laughed heartily. The only reason he was so straightforward was because he wanted to escape. Of course, he wasn't afraid of a fight since he had nothing to fear. No, we will make them all stay. We will open the door and sneak in alone. We will take all the treasures. Yi Tianyun grinned. What do you think? Make them all stay. Tian Yuan almost bit his tongue off. He was really scared. Take all the treasures? That's a good idea, but they have many grand star venerables. When the time comes, just listen to my instructions. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Tian Yuyuan stared at Yi Tianyun for a while. Then he nodded and said, Then we will follow Brother Yi's instructions and go a little crazy. Tian Xinghuan slapped his face. He couldn't bear to watch this. They were all crazy. The 3 of them wanted to make the 4 of them stay. Just the thought of it was crazy. The treasures were good, but they had to act according to their strength. Otherwise, how would they use them when they were dead? After saying that, Yi Tianyun led them forward. They really swaggered in. Tian Xinghuan wondered if he was visiting his own mansion. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant? After walking for a short while, the passageway in front of them gradually widened. In the end, a huge golden door came into view. The door was densely covered with golden patterns. It was obvious that it was a more advanced star pattern. It would not be so easy to break it. The giant beasts were right in front of them. They were fiddling with the door, trying to figure out how to break it. It seemed like they were at their wits' end. If they could open it, they would have done so long ago. They wouldn't have left it until now. When they appeared, people immediately looked in their direction. Their expressions sank when they saw familiar faces. Didn't they leave? Why are they back? Do Long's expression turned cold. This wasn't a good thing. Peng Da's expression did not look good either. The 3 of them had undoubtedly disrupted their plans. Sorry, we seem to have taken the wrong way. I have no sense of direction. I took the wrong way again. Where is this place? It seems quite special. Yi Tianyun walked over with a smile. He looked like he was really lost. Tian Xinghuan, who was at the side, almost laughed out loud. No sense of direction? Who would believe that? No matter how bad one was, he would still be a grand star venerable. Chapter 22-26. Pengda and the others immediately moved, surrounding Yi Tianyun at a shocking speed. Their priority was to seal off the escape route. The expressions of Heavenly Star Ring and the others changed. They could not help but want to retreat to the fork outside. If they fought there, they would have a chance to escape. If they were blocked here, it would be difficult for them to escape. No need to hide. Let them surround us. Yi Tianyun remained calm and told Tianyuan to ignore them. Tianyuan and the others calmed down a little and obeyed Yi Tianyun's words. They really did not leave. Heavenly Star Ring wanted to pull Tianyuan away, but she resisted the urge. After all, Tianyuan had not left. She could only risk her life to accompany him. She was still very nervous. If something really happened, she would let her brother go first even if she had to sacrifice her life. Pengda quickly surrounded them and stood behind them, sealing off the exit. The only exit was blocked just like that. If they wanted to escape, they had to defeat him. Pengda was a late-stage star venerate. Even if he could not kill them, he could at least hold them back for a while. Oh, you're quite bold. Who gave you the confidence? Pengda's gaze was cold and full of mockery. Did you stop moving when you saw the treasury? If you want to get the treasure, you have to be able to. We took the wrong path. Is there a problem with that? Yi Tianyun said with a faint smile. Friend, since this path is blocked, can you let us go first? Do you think I can let you go? You saw the treasury. Do you think I'll let you go? Pengda said coldly. I told you to leave, but you did not. Now that you're here, just stay here obediently. Pengda did not say much. He pounced forward and unleashed his power. There was no star materialization, only the power of the colossal beast race. The figure of a colossal beast appeared behind him. Thick scales appeared on Pengda's body. These scales were extremely sharp, as if he was wearing a thick blade. Both his speed and power were unleashed. Boom! The ground shook from Pengda's stomp, and with the most violent manner, it bombarded this side. It really is the giant beast clan. When Tianyuan and the others sensed this aura, they immediately knew that it was the giant beast clan. This aura was too familiar. It was completely the giant beast clan. Giant beast clan, you're actually from the giant beast clan. Tianyun took a few steps back, his face full of shock, as if he was frightened. This level of acting made Tian Xinghuan speechless. How did Yi Tianyun learn so many tricks after not seeing him for a while? It should be said that they had only known each other for a short period of time. When they didn't know Yi Tianyun that well, they had already separated. It's too late for you to know. This is destined to be our battlefield. Not only did Pengda erupt with power, but the three great star venerates behind him also erupted with power. The power of the colossal beast tribe burst forth with all its might, bursting forth with the power of its true body. Their power stacked up in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, Pengda charged over, brandishing an extremely powerful attack in the direction of Yi Tianyun. In his opinion, the cultivator in front of him was already so scared that he couldn't fight back. However, when Pengda was about to reach him, the corners of Yi Tianyun's mouth curled up into a smile. His eyes flickered with a special light as he locked onto his opponent's weakness with the super appraisal eye. In the next moment, Yi Tianyun erupted with his strongest power. The power of the seven-colored king dragon gushed out of his back, and his crazy modes stacked up. He shouted, "Help me!" In the next second, Tianyuan and the others also erupted with their strongest power. More than 30 cubic meters of astral power appeared above them, covering an area. Yi Tianyun had already told them that when the fight started, he would release astral power when they helped him. They didn't know what that meant, but they did as they were told. After the astral power erupted, Tianyun used swallowing the starry sky without hesitation. He swallowed the astral power of two people in a row, and his fighting power soared to 56 cubic meters. Unfortunately, there were too few of them. Otherwise, he could have continued to reach 60 cubic meters. After the eruption, Pengda's eyes widened. He hadn't expected his opponent to have such a dreadful power. When he saw the shadow of the seven-colored king dragon behind Yi Tianyun, his eyes widened even more. This is the five-colored king dragon. Why is it here? He hadn't sensed that Yi Tianyun's energy was the five-colored king dragon. He didn't know that after Yi Tianyun's cultivation had improved and his level had increased, he had become very good at hiding his energy. Chaotic stars cut. Yi Tianyun didn't pay attention to his opponent's expression. He dashed over in one breath. When he was close to Peng De, the star venerable level dagger appeared in his hand. He stabbed at Peng De's weakest point at the highest speed. Since his opponent was a bit careless, he didn't react in time. Who would have thought that Yi Tianyun would have such dreadful power in one breath? He was caught unprepared. The most important thing was that the star venerable level weapon gave him a good scare. Puff! The sharp dagger penetrated Peng De's scales easily and went through his body. Then a sharp white light pierced through Peng De's body and dashed toward the wall behind him. Yi Tianyun didn't stop. He quickly pulled Peng De aside, trying to cut him in half. Peng De dodged very fast. He managed to dodge the fatal attack. The cut came from his shoulder and cut off half of Peng De's body. Peng De quickly dodged to the side after dodging. His strong recovery ability was demonstrated. The half of his body started to grow back quickly. In the blink of an eye, half of his body had recovered. It seemed that it wouldn't take long for him to recover completely. He dodged, but Yi Tianyun wasn't slow either. After the first attack failed, he chased after him again. Trying to escape? Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. He thrust his knife at Peng De again. The short dagger gave off an extremely sharp light. No matter how short the dagger was, it turned into a long knife that could cut off a river. Peng De was scared out of his wits when he saw Yi Tianyun attacking fiercely again. He was seriously injured. It was hard for him to fight back, let alone fight back. Especially the star venerable level weapon in Yi Tianyun's hand. Peng De's strong body was like tofu to him. It was cut off by one cut. Peng De turned around and ran to his companions. He didn't dare fight against Yi Tianyun anymore. However, he didn't run far. The knife came down again. It was accompanied by Yi Tianyun's cold light. Die! Peng De didn't dodge this attack. It cut Peng De in half. Even his soul was cut in half. A strong late-stage Grand Star Venerable was killed just like that. It was as easy as cutting vegetables. Chapter 22-27. Ding. Successfully killed Peng De obtained 2 billion star energy points and 1,500 kill points. Obtained Golden Scaled Beast's Bloodline, Golden Scaled Beast Scale, Giant Beast Clan's Key, Rare. Yi Tianyun did not leave Peng De's soul behind. He killed him directly. In his opinion, capturing the others to search their souls would be the same. They had all come here together, so they should know about the same things, so there was no need to leave Peng De behind. Most importantly, Peng De was stronger. He was a giant beast in the late star venerable stage. He surpassed Peng De in every aspect. To avoid a comeback, Yi Tianyun killed him directly, leaving no future trouble. God knew what kind of moves Peng De would use later. Anyway, he killed him before he could react. After killing him, the group was dumbfounded, especially the companions who had just surrounded them. They had just wanted to come to the rescue, but it was too late. Yi Tianyun had easily killed Peng De with his blade. That short dagger could easily kill a giant beast in the late star venerable stage. A giant beast in the late star venerable stage was a nature-defying existence. It was definitely much stronger than a cultivator in the late star venerable stage of the same level. But Yi Tianyun had killed it easily, as if he was cutting melons and vegetables. Under such a state, they were truly horrified. Their boss had already been killed. As for them, wouldn't they be able to deal with them easily? Star venerable level treasure. Do Long almost swallowed his tongue. He was scared silly by the weapon in Yi Tianyun's hand. Who would have thought that Yi Tianyun would have a star venerable level treasure? They were not very familiar with weapons. They had only started to get used to them recently. In their previous state, they could not use any weapons. They could only use their bodies. Now that they were cultivators, they could use weapons and martial arts techniques. But no matter how much they could use martial arts techniques and weapons, they were not familiar with them. Seeing Yi Tianyun use a star venerable level weapon, They were really scared. They knew what it was. Tianyun held the star venerable level treasure in his hand and walked forward step by step. He looked at them and said with a faint smile, "What did you say this place was? The Hell's Gate? I wonder if this is the gate of hell that we're heading to, or your gate of hell." Do Long and the others swallowed their saliva. This time, it was really over. Now, it was Tianyun blocking the exit. If they wanted to escape, they had to defeat Tianyun. In an instant, the situation was reversed. They were all confused by the situation. Who would have thought that things would turn out like this? Kill our way out. Do Long and the others gritted their teeth and rushed over. Since they were trapped, even if they died, they had to fight with the other party. Do Long and the others rushed over. Tianyun wore a calm expression. Holding a star venerable dagger in his hand, he guarded this place tightly like a door god. Kill our way out? Can you kill your way out? Tianyun smiled calmly. He took a step forward and slashed down quickly. A sharp light gushed out of the dagger. As he slashed down quickly, he killed a giant beast effortlessly. His opponent's cultivation was even lower than his. Facing a star venerable level treasure, he was even more vulnerable. Do Long and the others felt a chill in their hearts. They did not pay attention to their companions. The remaining two people split up and ran to the sides, trying to distract Tianyun so that they could escape from the sides. However, before they could come over, Tianyuan and Tianxinghuan blocked one side each. They blocked the way completely. "Have you forgotten us?" Tianyuan and the others sneered. They might not be as strong as Tianyun, but it was not a problem for them to stop them. "Kill!" Do Long and the others shouted angrily. The giant beast's power doubled again, but it was meaningless. Soon Tianyun rushed over. With the help of Tianyuan and the others, he killed the two giant beasts easily. Among them, Do Long's soul was slashed to the point where it was held in his hand. "If you want to kill us, just kill us. The giant beasts will never surrender." Do Long did not choose to surrender even at the moment of death. "Don't worry. I didn't ask you to surrender. Even if you surrender, I won't want it." Tianyun sneered and used the super soul-searching technique to search Do Long's soul crazily. After a while, Tianyun let go of Do Long's soul slowly. He had searched all of Do Long's memories. Without waiting for the other party to scream, he directly crushed this ball of soul. As countless light spots dissipated, Tianyun's cold and serious expression appeared in front of Tianyuan and the others. "Brother what's wrong?" Tianyuan and the others could feel that something was wrong. Tianyun's expression changed, as if he had run into something serious. Under normal circumstances, he should be happy after killing so many giant beasts. Moreover, it was killing those above his level. Not only was Tianyun not happy, but he also had a serious expression, indicating that something must have happened. "The situation is a little complicated. I roughly know their plan." Tianyun said solemnly. "Oh, Brother what did you deduce this time?" Tianyuan and the others looked over seriously. Tianyun had guessed correctly all this time. This was definitely not wrong. Little did they know that Tianyun had obtained the memories. How could this be a deduction? This was the real plan. A large number of giant beasts have already infiltrated. This is the first batch. There will be other giant beasts mixed in later. They are still outside breaking the door. Soon they will all come in. The main plan is to open this door and then destroy the purple gold divine pavilion. All the cultivators who enter will be buried alive. Tianyun said solemnly. "Destroy the purple gold divine pavilion and bury them alive," they gasped. There were so many cultivators here. If they were all buried alive, there would be no strong cultivators on planet Red Moon. It could be said that planet Red Moon had returned to primitive times overnight. How can we destroy the purple gold divine pavilion? Even a divine star venerable wouldn't be able to destroy such a sturdy purple gold divine pavilion, let alone a great star venerable. They found it unbelievable. How could such a sturdy place be destroyed? So, their priority is to open this door and find the control of the purple gold divine pavilion. Then they can mobilize the power of the purple gold divine pavilion to besiege and kill them. If they don't have this ability, they will destroy it. Yun shook his head and said, that's the basic situation. They also have helpers mixed in. Helpers? What helpers? They couldn't imagine. Chapter 22-28. Yun had been guessing before. He felt that the giant beast race's shocking evolution reminded him of the evil spirit race and the green demon race. These two races evolved by devouring bloodlines. The giant beast race was very powerful, but they were very lacking in the ability to evolve. Or rather, they didn't know how to evolve properly. Now that the evil spirit race and the green demon race had joined, the meaning was completely different. This time, they would be able to evolve successfully and further strengthen themselves. This kind of thing did not surprise him. He had already guessed it before, so he was not very shocked. If there was one thing that shocked him, it would be that the headquarters of the colossal beast race had yet to be found in their souls. He was very surprised by such a strict situation. He also didn't know where the headquarters of the giant beast race was. The evil spirit race and the green demon race. Their expressions changed slightly. They did not have much contact with the evil spirit race, but they knew how disgusting this race was. The one that left the deepest impression on them was the green demon race. It could be said that Yuan had always been fighting against the Green Demon clan. In the end, he had barely managed to destroy the Green Demon clan. However, the real situation was that it was only a branch of the Green Devil race. The real headquarters of the Green Devil race wasn't here. From the memories of Do Long and the others, there was no relevant memory. There was only one impression, and that was that the Green Demon race had sent people to meet with them. The evil spirit race and the green demon race both gave the giant beast race an extreme evolution ability, so that the giant beast race could evolve towards the side of cultivators. The effect was very obvious, and the giant beast race was very satisfied. Back then, the giant beast race had been defeated largely because they didn't know martial arts, nor did they know how to use weapons. Only in the battle between cultivators would they be defeated and forced to retreat. After all, an additional weapon and martial arts would have a completely different meaning. It wouldn't even be a problem for him to fight someone of a higher cultivation level. Thus, when the evil spirit race and the green demon race gave the plan, they basically hit it off and the two immediately began to cooperate. They were not very clear about the more detailed situation. It could only be said that their status was not high enough. That's right. It's the evil spirit race and the green demon race that made them undergo this evolution. They were now in an alliance, and they were very powerful. No one knows where his real residence is. Yun said in a low voice. Most importantly, the giant beast race doesn't know much about internal information. Brother E, how do you know so much? Yuan and company were extremely curious. This wasn't even a deduction, right? You all saw how I searched his soul just now. That's how I got so much information. I can't just rely on deduction, right? Yun said calmly. Soul search. They were shocked. Soul search could search so many memories. How was this possible? They didn't ask in detail, as this was a private matter. The world was vast, and anything could happen. It wasn't surprising that Yun had a special soul-searching ability. Does that mean that those who really know the inside information are either of a higher status or have a stronger cultivation? They're so powerful, yet they don't know. Doesn't that mean that only Divine Star Venerables and above would know? Sky Tour Yuan's expression also turned serious. In other words, they have Divine Star Venerable powerhouses. That's right, Brother Tian's guess is correct. I think so too. Based on this situation, they definitely have someone with a higher status. Usually, cultivation is equivalent to status. Especially the control of the giant beast race's status, which is determined by cultivation. Yun said in a deep voice, Divine Star Venerables. Even Crimson Moon Planet doesn't know where Divine Star Venerables are hiding. Divine Star Venerables. They couldn't help but gasp when they thought about it. If they make a move, won't we be finished? Once Divine Star Venerables appeared, great star venerables were basically ants. This had always been the conclusion, and it couldn't be changed. If they could make a move, they would have made a move long ago. Why would they stay until now? Yi Tianyun's eyes were like torches, as if everything was within his calculations. They must be restricted by something, which is why they don't dare to make a move. Or maybe they're restricted by something, which is why they can't move freely. The five-colored Emperor Dragon could suppress them back then. Didn't they have other backup plans? Yi Tianyun felt that this should be the case. Otherwise, as Divine Star Venerables, they would have made a move long ago. It would be easy for them to crush Great Star Venerables. Why would they keep hiding? That's true. If there really weren't any restrictions, they might have made a move long ago. Tian Yuyuan and the others nodded in agreement. I just didn't expect the green demon race to be endless. The nest I destroyed was only a branch. Tian Yuyuan found it hard to accept. This was a bit of a blow. He thought they had really destroyed the green demon race, but that wasn't the case. Well, this isn't unexpected. Even the evil spirit race is hard to destroy, let alone the green demon race. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He had been fighting against the evil spirit race in the lower realm. He didn't expect to come here and run into them. How could he not feel disgusted? Now that the three most terrifying families had joined hands, one could imagine what kind of disgusting things would happen. It would really bring disaster to the entire world. Now we should hurry up and enter. We should seize control of the purple gold divine pavilion before they do. Yi Tianyun stared at the golden door in front of them with a burning gaze. As long as they opened the golden door, they would be able to enter the inner area. They soon arrived in front of the golden door. It was tightly sealed, and the densely packed golden patterns on it were enough to make many cultivators retreat. How could they break through such complicated golden patterns? Even Yi Tianyun couldn't find any flaws after carefully examining it, let alone other cultivators. It was obvious that only a higher-level star tattoo master could break through it. Brother Yi, can you see anything? Tian Yuyuan smiled bitterly. There was no doubt that he didn't know where to start. It's difficult. This star tattoo is too difficult. I'm afraid that only a level 6 or 7 star tattoo master or above would be able to find a way to break through it. Yi Tianyun also shook his head. He felt that it was difficult to break through it. In his current situation, he wouldn't be able to become a level 6 or 7 star tattoo master even if he threw all his star energy into it. The star energy required was too high, and he couldn't satisfy it at all. A level 6 or 7 star tattoo master. There aren't any level 6 or 7 star tattoo masters in the entire Crimson Moon planet, right? Even a level 5 star tattoo master would be hard to come by. Tian Yuyuan smiled bitterly. So you're saying that we can't go in and can only wait outside like idiots? I wonder how the giant beast race plans to break through it? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.